and it's gone. Hesitate and your history.
Gotta move, gotta move, gotta move.
Oh, she lost. Unbelievable.
This is women's speed chess.
Oh my goodness!
It's a collision of elite minds, a global showcase of brilliance under pressure.
Wow. Beautiful checkmate there from Vaishali.
Their precision, razor sharp. The attacks, blistering. The tactics, bold. And their tempo, lightning fast.
94 and mate. Ooh, make sure you do your tactics at home, boys and girls. 94, you win the queen. That's it. That's a match.
Wenjun is the champion.
The 2025 Women's Speed Chess Championship starts now.
Hello and welcome to the Women's Speed Chess Championship, where it's time for our third quarterfinal match. And this time it's a clash of generations. I'm your host, International Master Ivan Kahauska, and I'm together with someone who is quite simply a trailblazer, a legend of the game. Of course, it's none other than Judith Polgar. Now, Judith, you joined us at the perfect time because we have a sensational matchup in store for us. It is Divya Deshmukh, just 19 years old, facing off against four-time women's world champion Hou Yifan. And look at this. Here is the bracket. I mean, there's so much at stake. First up, it's going to be a place in the semi-finals.
Hello, hi, I'm happy to be back and making commentary with the exciting match of Hou Yifan and Divya Deshmukh because it's going to be a big fight. I mean, both of them obviously have the fighting spirit and wants to win and get into the semifinals. So I'm sure we are going to be seeing some interesting drama, action, beautiful moves. I'm looking forward to that.
Absolutely. You know what happens when the clock is cut down, when the pace just quickens, everything just intensifies. And we're going to begin the matchup with 45 minutes of 5+1. And take a look at this. So it begins with something which is relatively classical. I'm going to say, dare I say, slow. And then we have 30 minutes of what we kind of call blitz. But it really isn't blitz, it's quite fast. 3+1. And then finally, 15 minutes of the most ultra-paced form of chess there is. It's like 50 minutes of bullet. Now, Judah, I'm going to put you on the spot and I'm going to ask you, which one of those formats was your favorite?
Oh, well, when I started back as a kid and a teenager, obviously I was playing the classical of 5 minutes, but it was 5-0 because in that time we still have analog Garda clocks, not the digital ones. So we didn't even think that it exists, that you're running out of time and you get a bonus second or whatever number of seconds. So obviously then it was that kind of game. So we did not really play lower time control than 5 minutes.
Yeah, and here is one of our participants, 19-year-old Divya Deshmukh. Now, she really is woman of the moment right now. She recently came off a win at the World Cup that qualified her to the candidates and also got her the GM title. So she's one of our GM elects in this competition. She also went through the round of 16 in very convincing fashion, defeating Lei Tingje very, very comfortably. But she has a very tough opponent ahead of her in the form of four-time former women's world champion Hou Yifan. Now, both of these players, they're quite aggressive in the sense that they like active play. Divya, she is from the Indian school of chess, so very much calculation focused, whereas Hou Yifan somehow seemed a little bit more natural. What can we expect, do you think, from this match? So we've kind of promised fireworks. I think that's a given, but what else?
Well, for me, it's always interesting to see how Hou Yifan is playing in the matches. Of course, when it's classical game or blitz game, it's not the same. But how sharp can she stay while she's not a real professional chess player anymore? She's playing time to time in some big events and events like this, and probably some of the events she cannot resist because I'm sure she still loves the game a lot, with her decades of chess love and success. But it's always a big question how you can be resilient, how you can fight, not to be rusty. And of course, when you play Blitz, it means that your intuition has to work very well. So you have to have your physical and mental sharpness and being ready, because here we are going to be witnessing about 2 hours of lot of chess, but lot of games as well, where you make one bad move and the game is gone, right? While Divya is really a youngster with a lot of energy, with all the big results, I think, ahead of her, because it's true that she's very talented and she showed some incredible results, and also that she showed a lot of fighting spirit. And I like her style very much. Also, the way she takes the game already from the opening, and she has this sharp vision. So we'll see. It is always interesting also to see the clash of generations, which is clearly the case. And of course, how much Hu Yifan will be handling the pressure as the experienced player with being world champion several times. At the same time, I think Divya, she has all the respect to Hu Yifan, but she knows exactly that I have the respect until the point which is not going to be damaging me playing my best chess today.
Exactly. Yeah, you have to go in to the game off the board with a healthy dose of respect for your opponent, but on the board, all bets are off, right? The gloves are off, and you are there, and you are as ambitious as possible. And this is actually a trademark of the younger generation. I would say that they're not like outwardly very braggy or arrogant. Instead, they come at you on the board, and you feel that they just want to play the best game possible. And here we're seeing, well, the excitement is there from chat. We're also very exciting. We can't wait for the games to begin. What do you expect? Hou Yifan with the white pieces. Do you think she's going to open up with e4, knight f3?
Well, to tell you the truth, the opening itself, I don't think it makes such a big difference. It does not really matter what she's choosing. I would expect her to choose something that she's familiar, she's happy, because it's also the first game. I mean, it's a long match. It's a long, heavy, intense, full of emotions, full of actions, full of everything, which we are going to see in the next 2 hours. So she has all the experience to understand this, that she's going to have some blunder. She's going to have some things which will be very difficult to recover. So this resilience part here, it is much more important, I think, and it can be decisive than in, let's say, in a classical game. But going back to your question, I would expect her to play e4.
Okay. Yeah. Well, she's
What about
opened
you?
up with e4 before. I think, yeah, you might as well try out the e4, and only if it doesn't work, kind of move on to something else. We did see her do that in her first match in the round of 16. She opened up with e4, and then she switched to kind of knight f3, b3 ideas, which was very cool to see. But we'll find out. Divya had a very easy ride against Leitin J. Everything went wrong for Leitin J in that day. Her computer stopped. Well, there was internet issues, and Divya just had the better of her. She'd figured out, what openings to go for. So I'm expecting Divya to put in some hard work and maybe also try and do the same approach. Just to open up with these very open positions, which are very theory focused. As we await the players to get started, the board is up. I think we're in luck. And we have off e4.
Caracan.
Oh, that wasn't on my radar at all, that there was going to be a Caracan. And something came up with our board. Okay, it's been fixed now. But a flurry of moves. And we see that there was some trades. Okay, there was a trade of the knight on c6. That's how that happened. So, yeah. And there we see the light squared bishop come out. So now for black, it's all a question. They've got a strong, stable center. But the big issue is actually how to actually make use of this bishop there on c8. I mean, yes, it can develop to b7, but it's not actually going to get much further. It has a wall of pawns that's going to be facing down. And this bishop on d3, well, watch out because it's bearing down on the h7 square, which does mean that in certain situations, it could be a little bit risky to be castling a kingside very quickly. So black, I imagine, is going to be making a very quick kind of bishop e7, f6 at the right time, and
But it's
try
interesting.
to destabilize the
It's
center.
it's very interesting that it started out with a Karakam, but actually we are entering in a structure which we can call a kind of a Paulsen, where white took knight takes c6, b takes c6, right? So it became kind of a transposition. If we would see it not from the very beginning, we might think that it started out as a Sicilian.
Yeah,
And yes, I
exactly.
think white will be going, well, it's a logical way of playing, very securing rook e1, defending the pawn on e5, putting extra security there. But later on, I'm very much expecting c4. These
Yes,
kind
I'm
of
also
moves.
expecting that, especially after a move like this, like a5, and bishop to a6 could be on the agenda. And suddenly, like the French, you've gotten rid of your bad light squared bishop. And, well, what are we seeing? Queen e2?
Queen e2 is also a possibility if you want to play very much a psychological game against your opponent's plan, which also makes quite a lot of sense. And later on, I'm thinking that maybe g3 and h4 can be kind of an unpleasant way of trying to push away that knight on g6. So g3 actually happened. It's on the board already because it seems like Hou Yifan does not care. Do you really want to go bishop a6? But to tell you the truth, I would, I think. I would go bishop a6. I mean, why not to exchange that d3 bishop? I would think
Yeah,
it's a more active bishop.
yeah, I absolutely think that that's something that black will be doing, especially if you're going to back that up with a5. I was expecting some kind of castles on f6 break, but I don't think black can afford to do that right now. So there we're seeing castles. Okay, now is the time to go queen e2, or if Hou Yifan is feeling rather direct, she'll go h4 and begin to ask questions to this knight on g6.
But I have the feeling that after h4, f6 can be the move for black, trying to break up the center immediately. And we see h4 on the board.
Yep. And now, well, f6 has to be played.
Well, I don't think black wants to go rook e8 or something like that and then jumping back after h5 to knight f8. It would be too passive. That's not the way Divya likes to play, I believe. Or at least I would be very surprised, unless she considers that f6 is somewhat, can be a very unpleasant position, because after f6, basically after f6, maybe, I don't know, there are several options, I think, because maybe it's possible that white is just going to be capturing on f6.
Mm-hmm. And then the eternal question happens. How are you going to be recapturing that pawn? Take with the bishop, take with the rook. But I was instinctively going bishop takes f6 and not really caring so much about pawn structure. Yeah, moving back. And, oh, knight to e5 is coming. And, yeah, you're not getting...
I
Well,
can
okay, the
also play
generation bar's
kind
not
of bishop
impressive, but yeah.
f4 or bishop g5. So, I mean, this pawn on h7 can be really vulnerable, you know. So
Mm-hmm.
f6 seems to be also kind of, well, you have to have quite the self-confidence to do that. The problem is really after he takes f6, I don't see that, well, you don't want to go gf6, do you?
No. Well, actually, we have some moves, Judith. And bishop f5 was played. So kind of saying, hey, you take now or you take never. And then e takes f6. And then after bishop takes f6, we had a response, bishop to g5. So yeah, this also looks nice. Queen to b6, you're eyeballing f2 and b2, but more importantly, f2. And if black is able to get the dream scenario, e5, you can even sacrifice a pawn in some moments and get the bishop out, then black is actually doing very, very well.
Well, now things are speeding up, not only in time, but also in action on the board. So bishop takes g6, h takes g6. And I'm wondering what white is going to be playing. Queen d3 seems to be a very logical continuation. Of course, white really has to be looking after this pawn on f2. I mean, this is what white has to be prepared for, that it cannot be touched. Maybe queen d2 is also possible. What do you think? Just to defend the pawn on f2, and then later on to somehow control with the knight to go to e5.
Yeah,
And I just
was
don't care
tempted
about
to
the
break out.
b2 pawn.
Yeah. Yeah, I was tempted to kind of break out with e5 just because I don't like living with this bishop there on c8, and I'm a bit worried about a bind, but
after queen
yeah.
d2 you cannot go e5, right? Because I just take knight takes e5, bishop e5, rook e5, and queen d2 makes its service as it was planned to defend that pawn. Queen b2,
Yeah.
rook e1, and obviously we all want to be on the white side, I believe.
Yeah, but at least the light square bishop has a home on f5, and
but this
know.
one on g7 will be
That's
a
true.
square where the checkmate will be done. Sorry
I
for
don't
being
doubt
so
that.
putting it in a dramatic way, but you can visualize it too. I think some
Yes,
problem will show up over there.
for sure, for sure. Yes, okay, there is a lot of potential for black, but black does have to be careful, yeah.
But maybe my queen d2 is actually not a good move, because bishop b2, and suddenly my knight is hanging and the rook is hanging. So I have to give up some material, which I would consider, of course, happily to go, let's say, knight e5, takes, and I'm very happy to have all these pieces. The only question is if I'm too generous with Hou Yifan's pieces or not.
Well, talking about Hou Yifan's pieces, we do have some moves, Judith, and queen to d2
Let's
wasn't
see.
chosen, and instead what was played was bishop takes g6, rook takes, bishop takes knight.
Bishop takes, rook e3, bishop a6, knight e5. Ooh, what a beautiful position with white.
And Divya, just look at the clock, actually, down to her last 30 seconds. It's ticking down. And yeah, this knight, ooh, rook takes f2. Now, this is one thing about Divya that we've seen time and time again. She's super tactical. But okay, first up, the proof of the pudding is in the eating. So I imagine white has to capture that rook. Although, has it come as a shock? Well, Hou Yifan is still thinking. And yes, still looks scary, though.
Yeah, but scary is only one thing. But I like rook f2. I like what she's doing. We have this rook f8 moment in the game. Obviously, there is no other way than playing knight f3 going back.
Yeah.
Trying to cover all the attack from black.
So let's just catch up with the live board, because the players are ticking down to under the minute. So the moves are going to come super fast, and let's see whether they say it's easier to attack than to defend in blitz. So let's see if that maxim is actually true, as here comes the pawn, and Hou Yifan is going to have to do some nifty defense work in order to keep her king safe.
Yeah, Hou Yifan is going to the safe side by giving the knight back. At the same time, black has a pretty good compensation. The king will be on h7 hiding in a later stage, I believe. And this bishop on a6 can be pretty good. Another pawn. Yeah. Look at that. And what about the white king? What about the white king? It can get in danger. It's a brilliant move, rook f2 by Divya, I must say. What a practical chance she did.
Absolutely, tempting the king to places where it should not go. And I agree, what is the white king doing? But the queen and bishop, they can only really work effectively on the dark square. So now, okay, I was expecting queen to f5. And how is the white king going to actually escape these checks? You can't.
Well, no, draw.
And yeah, the queen on e8 covers the very critical e2 square. And very impressive find there from Divya to net that draw. I love that rook takes f2, but okay, no time to relax because now we're in a Sicilian with a c3.
Absolutely. And this is a very interesting thing that when players are playing online, basically they don't have more than 1 second switching from what has happened in the game and just starting the next one, right? So this is really something very intense. I've never seen something like this before. I mean, similar events, yes, but generally in a offline event, you don't have this, right? You finish the game, you set it up, you go to the bathroom, you come back, and you start your next game. But here it's really practically you have seconds after the game.
Yeah. You have no time to recover. You don't even have time to really look through the game and check out the computer suggestions for improvements. No. You've got to get back to the drawing board. And what do we think about this C3 Sicilian? So I've used it. No, I've not used it actually. But I've seen it being played many, many times, almost as a white way to get a comfortable small advantage. And there we're seeing there's challenge immediately to the knight. The knight has to shift to the center. You don't want to be going to the edge of the board. So I'm expecting
But
knight to e5.
yeah, but somehow White got confused with the knights, because now that the black knight, when it stands on c6, then it's really good to have the knight a3, knight c4, because there is a weakness on b6, right? In some cases. But in this situation, how Hou Yifan handled it, simply she has a perfect knight on d7, putting extra defense over the c5 pawn. And I think black has a very stable position. And once the knight will show up on d5 also.
And that's a very good move there. And yep, so we're expecting what's the response here? Just to capture on c5. And
Well, now there are
A5, by the way,
several
not the main
options.
move.
Wow, queen c7. She really wants to sharpen things, Hou Yifan.
But this does allow b4, which as a materialist, I'm really looking forward to that move. But then, there are some potential sacrifices on c5, just undermining the defense of the knight on a5. So maybe you just have to go knight b3 and just suck it up.
Yeah. Well, yeah, b4, knight b3, c6 also possible, just to simplify the position. Depends how much white wants to sharpen. You know what? a4. I just wanted to say a4, I mean, look at it, like a4, I give up the knight, I go a, b, c6, whatever, all these things. I just wanted to say a4. I mean, it's a fun move, right?
Well,
I wouldn't be
yeah,
surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if it's the best move, actually. Because all the other moves,
yes.
giving away every initiative kind of thing, going back, it was not. Though black is just doing very fine, I think. I mean, it was kind of clear that black is not going to be taking that knight. That was a poisoned one.
But it's a beautiful spot, though, from Divya, right? Because a lot of us would have just been, oh, okay, well, my knight's attack, we got to move it, we got to defend it. And she's just like, no, I'm going to just try and roll the dice where possible and make my opponent think as well. Because for sure, Hou Yifan would have spent some time just, oh, okay, wasn't expecting that. and then readjust. And there we are seeing that's the evaluation. Oh, starts creeping up. So first up, we need to think about the
What
attacking
about
move,
knight
knight
b3, and
b3.
after that taking on b5?
It looks good. What can I say? You have to step the queen back so that it covers a8. So I'm thinking queen to c6. Because if you go queen b6 or queen c7, then there's going to be pawn takes pawn. And I don't know. I don't really like playing a pawn down. So queen c6, queen b6 being played.
You like to play more with the pawn up, right?
Correct.
But I wonder what Black wants to play after a takes b5. Does she want simply to castle? But then queen d4 will be very powerful, I think, starting to try to exchange the heavy pieces.
Yeah. And well, a takes b5, a brilliant move there from Divya, just winning some material. In fact, after queen c6, you couldn't hold on to the pawn because it was still gonna be lost, because the black queen, after the trades of rooks, would have been forced to abandon b5. And now what we're seeing from Hou Yifan is this desperation, because she just wants to generate as much play as possible, but it's a little bit loosening to go e5.
I think e5 was specifically designed and thought out against queen d4, because I don't think black wants to play e4, at least not in the near future. Also, maybe black wants to go knight e4, for example, or knight g4 attacking the f2. But Divya is just in time, because after knight g4, white will be able to castle short and not only developing, but also protecting the pawn on f2. So actually, that's not going to be pushing black's position to better direction. Bishop e2,
Yeah.
very simple continuation. Castle.
Bishop e2 is very safe, but what worried me a little bit about e5 is just that you do concede the d5 square, and also the fact that this pawn on e5 is a potential target. So after you castle, and the knight is tied down to d7. So it was just long-term factors. I prefer my pawn structure compact, e6 on
Yeah,
light squares preferably.
but you know how it is when you have a position which you're not happy with. You're seeing some moves which you don't like. You may see some phantoms also, and then you start playing against that, and your position can even get worse and worse and worse. It's very difficult to digest it. And basically, on move 10, Hou Yifan got outplayed at this point, right? And in the first game, Divya showed it to Hou Yifan that no matter how good position you have, I'm going to have a creative idea to cross your plans.
Exactly. No, I mean, Divya is making it very clear that if you're going to play her and if you're going to beat her, you need to bring your tactical A game, because what we've seen, two bolts from the blues. We saw a4, brilliant move. We also saw in the first game, rook takes f2, which is just absolutely stunning. And there we're seeing that c4 is being highlighted.
I'm wondering
just
if it's c4, but also I see another move playing rook a5, more interesting. At the same time, probably after rook a5, knight c5 would be possible. So maybe that's not a good choice. But I don't see how Divya can go tactical by playing, let's say, takes, because after takes, queen b3.
a7, but it doesn't really work because the queen takes queen.
Yeah, queen. Oh, it's winning. You know why it's winning? Maybe just simply to take back and then bishop b5. You know? What about bishop b5?
Yeah. Perfect. And hang on a second, Judith, because b takes a6
Yeah, we
has
see
been
it.
played.
Look at that. Look at that. What a girl.
Absolutely. What a champion. Right. B takes a6. And as Judith just showed, you can't take that knight on b3 on account of the a pawn just running down the board, and there's no way to stop it, which is just brilliant. And hang on a second, okay, we're gonna see this line.
And she's flashing it out. It must be devastating to play with the black pieces now.
No, yeah, this one you almost resign and begin again, right? Bishop c6 is incoming. The bishop on c8 cannot move because of the knight on d7. No, a real powerhouse of a performance there from Divya. Now, you mentioned you liked her style. I think the crowd approves as well.
Now you can understand why, yeah?
Definitely.
I mean, how much she could prove my point by game 1, rook f2, and here a4, and then b takes a6.
Oh, but wait 1 second. Okay, we just saw the evaluation bar slip after knight to e1, but here, absolutely, Hou Yifan is fighting, finding e4, but yeah, bishop c6. And the problem is that black is in a complete bind. You're not able to untangle, and Divya just showing, you just need to advance the pawns, and nothing is good that is happening to black.
Well, and it's just because you're winning, it doesn't mean you're going to win the game. He's still, obviously, Hou Yifan is a huge fighter herself. He's going to be fighting it out until the very end. But it is hard for me to believe that Divya will not convert this. Because, well, yeah.
And she won. And she won on time, though, Judith, because, well, we saw that last portion of the game be played with just seconds left on the clock. Now,
how difficult.
Now we're going to see.
How difficult it is for Hou Yifan. Look at her body expression. The way he sits there now and the way she started it out in the game 1. So she has to bounce back. She has to get back. She has to show her resilience that, come on, okay, I got a cold shower in game 1 and 2 in different ways, but now I'm going to be back in business. I show who is the boss, who has the experience. And she wants to give a lesson to Divya, I'm pretty sure. Bishop e2, solid.
Mm-hmm.
Solid against the Najdorf. e5.
We also see a trade. We also see a switch up in openings there from Divya. She tried the Caro, now she's trying the Sicilian. And Hou Yifan being forced to switch around and reveal her opening preparations. And there we can see the percentage. Well, we asked the audience, we asked chat, how many of you believe that Divya will win? 63% of you said it will be a win for Divya, which is very, very interesting. I mean, she's impressed everyone by that start. But Hou Yifan, she's playing in her trademark style. She likes an active, very controlled position. It's still pretty natural. She's connected the rooks, and there we can see that we're still in the realms of theory, because we can see the win, the draw, and loss percentage.
It's interesting. I have seen this position a long, long time when I was still in competition, and even in when I retired more than a decade ago, this line was not so fashionable anymore. People were more aggressive, playing long castle with f3 and stuff. But now it goes very slowly. Probably Hou Yifan wants to somehow calm down, equalize, balance herself, and then punch. But also it's a good choice against someone who is extremely tactical, that you're kind of limiting the huge tactics in the position, right? Though rook c3 can show up anytime, of course.
Mm-hmm. And we're still seeing some moves being played. So black just getting in their plan of getting a knight into c4, but there we're seeing that knight takes c4, bishop takes c4. The main move is actually to go rook takes c4, as we
rook c4 seems to be a more concrete and more question to ask from white. Immediately threatening with an e4, rook c3 is always in the air, also doubling with queen c7 and have the battery having the rook in the front and only queen behind. So bishop c4 is kind of Well, in these positions, the main problem is that you might end up losing time. And of course, if white has the time to go knight a4, knight b6, it can be unpleasant. Also, after f3, it's not only defending the pawn on e4, but also it makes space for the queen, for example, on f2, which can look pretty good there. Queen d7. I wonder if knight c5 possible now, or is it worth doing it? Knight c5, because after takes, it would be kind of pretty bad for black. Takes rook d7 with a double attack. And if after knight c5, queen moves away, then I would be wondering to go knight a4 and regroup it to b6. Because from b3 to reach b6, it would be huge transformation in white's position. So let's see if knight c5. No, knight a4.
No, I loved your knight c5 plan because, yes, the knight on b3, if it manages to get to d5, then you got complete control over the center. And here we're seeing, okay, d5, could that be imminent? So I'm thinking, if that's a problem, then you have to go knight to d5 yourself. But if it's not, you just play around.
Well, any knight on b6, actually, it's fun to have, I must say. But I would have rather have my b3 knight on b6 if it's possible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And would you fight this with moves such as... I'm not so familiar with these. I was thinking rook a4, but then I thought, no, don't suggest that because it's loose on a4. But okay, queen to b4.
Also, I like queen b4 because we see that the e7 bishop is unprotected, so d5 is not possible, which is a very important news for white.
Yeah. But as yet, right? Because you can still go rook to e8 and say, hey, d5 is now incoming.
What do you mean? You're hanging on c4 now.
Oh, yes.
So black has to do
this
something.
This is one of those things. Yeah. Somehow or other, I blunder a lot more in 2D than I do in 3D.
Yeah.
3D.
So the problem is for black, if she goes back bishop e6, then c4. And there is a great space advantage for white. Great space advantage. Yeah. Anytime the knight can jump to d5, it can be unpleasant. I mean, there are a lot of maneuvering ideas. Well, of course, if you play with Divya, you have to check knight e4 as well in this position after c4. But I'm not sure it's good yet.
Yeah. No, it's not the best. But okay, well, we're actually seeing this where white has this lovely clamp in the center. Okay, and Divya does need to break out, otherwise black is really struggling. So, okay, you can break out if there's no threats. I'm just going to do a quick blunder check. I was thinking you want to break out with f5. Not easy to arrange, I'm afraid, because...
Yeah, but look at that. The last move by Hou Yifan, it was very good because she's preparing knight d5 in a much more powerful way. It is very difficult for black, I think, here. And the time shows also that it's not so easy for Divya to decide which direction to go. Well, it's logical. I was considering knight h5 more, so to have the f4 square. After knight d5, well, probably black has to take it. I mean...
Yes.
And then later on, she wants to go bishop g5, I believe. For now, it's impossible.
Yeah. Yeah, you have to take it, right? You can't let that knight just live on the d5 square. It's...
Yeah, bishop d5 is a move she can do. And then if c takes d5, going back with the queen, and then it seems like maybe it's not so bad. Black wants to go f5. Still, I don't really understand why not h5 was the decision. But Divya is thinking.
And she goes for your decision, but she does have less than a minute on the clock. And it is Hou Yifan that is in the driving seat in this particular position. And now Hou Yifan starts rearranging. I was wondering whether to put a knight on c4. I was also looking at queen to b6 and trying to come in that way. But Divya did have to just break out,
That's
whatever the
clear.
consequences.
That's clear that f5 had to be played, and I think actually she's doing quite reasonable again because she opened up the f file, and she is going to have some counter chances and some play on the king side for black. Maybe queen e8, though I'm not sure if she's going to move queen f5 or queen e8. Queen f5 is just good. That's what she played.
It's the most energetic one. That's typical of Divya.
Now,
and
even queen takes e4. I think now even queen takes e4 takes knight f6 can be the move. But okay, I'm not going to be making moves because things are speeding up. It's better if we just see the game. Bishop g5, very logical. She's exchanging, and look at this pawn. Look at this pawn. This is going to ask for help. 7th rank defended.
It's true. But on the other hand, the pawn on d6 is still very weak. So I can see a situation where the bishops come off and the knight is chased away. And now I'm just thinking it's time to pile up on the c line, infiltrate on c7, and then turn your attentions to d6 via knight c8. Some cool moves like that.
Yeah, of course, it's very logical what you're saying, and this is where the game is going. Knight f6 back, rook c1. Now the question is king h7. Yeah, I thought maybe king f8 could be also possible, but maybe she wants to go on the king side, king g6 later. She has to look for counterplay. Knight e3 maybe. Rook f4, look at that. She wants to go back knight f6. Can she do that? But maybe... I don't know why the question mark is there. Maybe knight f6 was better. Maybe knight e3 was better,
Yeah, it could be simply a missed opportunity. And there we can see that rook c3 was not the most accurate. And Divya is now coming in. Knight takes e4 incoming. And Divya is the one playing with...
knight h1 is also there.
Oh, that would be beautiful. But
now rook f3.
The evaluation bar just having fun.
Because rook f3 she blundered.
And that's how Hou Yifan just manages to keep control over the position. And well, she throws in a check. And how is the white king gonna get out of this one? King goes to h3, yes. And now you have to... Are we going to see a repetition?
Well, for Divya it would be a must. But both of them are 5 seconds. 3 seconds for Hou Yifan. 2. Draw.
Okay.
Draw.
Well, still incredible resource there from Divya, because it looked like she was under severe pressure, right? How you found having a very comfortable bind, but that Divya just finding those great moves just to keep the game alive. And now we're seeing it is still the Sicilian, but I don't think that we're going to be seeing an early b5 somehow.
Yeah, let's see what Hou Yifan is up to. Is she going to repeat until which point of the game, or now she's going to be... Well, she was playing here b5, right? Or I think she played here b5, and after knight a5, she went queen d6. Was it this? But why did she go queen d6 there? Look at that! Look at that! Look at this move. Incredible.
Beautiful move.
Very funny surprises by Divya.
Absolutely. Bishop to f3 incoming. You can't take that knight on account of that skewer. You can't also take the pawn on g2 because of bishop to f3. So Divya finding all of the fancy moves. Okay, so now you got to get your queen out of trouble and you got to get your rook out of trouble as well. So how to do that? Not easy.
Well, I must say that I have a feeling that Divya made a very good preparation, blitz preparation. I mean, not necessarily lit in a sense that she was very fast in her preparation, but I mean that a good preparation for blitz games. Let's see what black can do after knight d2. Well, queen can go to f5, for example, or rook a7, rook a7 maybe.
Yeah, rook a7 is the main move.
Just
And
going
yeah, you
out
do.
from the all kind of
Yeah, it's very important that you have the f5 square as that little mouse hole for the queen to escape to. But yeah,
yeah,
rook
queen
to
can escape
b8.
here.
Yeah, and rook to b8 also possible, but one thing you can't do. Okay, rook to b8 was the move chosen, and well, I'm expecting Divya just to continue on the offensive as she does, right? Just start chasing away the queen. Bishop to f3. Yeah, of course it happens.
Well, knight fd2 was good to gain a minute, so that's a nice advantage already at a very early stage of the game when it's only move 10. Let's see, where is it? Knight a5, which is the spot for the knight. Knight e3 was a tempo, but it's understandable also to go to a5 and go to c6 after that.
Yeah. But there is something about the rook on b8 that smells a little bit fishy, but it does, again, have a hiding place out on b6.
Now I'm wondering, what if cd4? Well, now there is an isolated pawn for Divya. At the same time, the knight on c6 will be extremely powerful at some point, I believe. But it's not so simple to play, I think, for white also. I mean, the knight on d2, I don't know where it's going to be heading to. Is it going to b3? And then possibly to c5. Okay, castle, very logical, castle. And now let's see if rook e1 and knight e4 is the plan, or rook e1.
Yeah, I like this whole idea of going knight to e4. I actually quite like leaving the knight on a5 because you just make life even more difficult for black to develop the light square bishop on c8. So I enjoy like knight to e4, just invite everyone to the party. You want to get this bishop on c1 working. And Divya, still thinking, well, unless she's made some move.
Rook e1.
Mm-hmm.
Rook e1 is her move. Actually, it's a pawn sacrifice. Well, not really, because queen f4 was not possible. Rook e8. Maybe black wants to go e5, but if white can develop properly, then it will be very difficult for black because of this bishop on c8 that will be not be able to develop in this game. Maybe knight e4.
Exactly.
Attacking the d6 bishop.
And where to go with the bishop? I mean,
or to capture knight e4.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Just unless something terrible happens to the black queen, the instinct for me is to actually capture on. Well, she goes on the offensive, but this is not a good move. And first up, I'm looking at knight c6.
Nothing else. Knight c6, bishop e1, going knight d6. Look at that. Queen goes to g6. I think simply knight e8 and knight e7 is a threat. I mean, things are getting really dangerous for Hou Yifan, and Divya has all the time to think about that, how to deal with this.
And as we've seen, this type of sequence is more or less child's play to Divya. She's worked out way more complicated calculations, and here it's just a question of following the knights. So I love this knight c6, knight d6, knight e7 in the air, and Hou Yifan. Well, she's being pushed to the limit here by the teenager. What words of advice would you give Hou Yifan? Because she's been very much on the back foot in all of these games.
Ask a timeout. Well, shortly they will have, because they have only less than 5 minutes from this portion. And we see this exact moves, what we've seen. Knight c6, bishop e1, knight d6. What a knight pair on c6 and d6. I mean, it's beautiful if you're sitting it from the white side. If you're seeing it from the black side, I'm not envying Hou Yifan at all in this situation, being down 2-1 and having this position. Very difficult. But of course, the match is long, so anything can happen. No worries for her.
Absolutely. Well, I think Hou Yifan definitely has to change her style. You know, it seems like playing into a Sicilian seems to be falling into Divya's hands, as she's able to come there with her c3 Sicilian just to unbalance the unsettle Hou Yifan. Maybe we're going to see something a lot more solid from her in the 3+1 portion, but we have 3 minutes and 49 seconds remaining of the match clock. And Divya is on the verge of taking a 2-point lead. Do you think that this is going to be the final game? And there we're seeing Hou Yifan. She's desperately trying to unsettle things, initiate chaos. But in terms of clock times, it is also Hou Yifan with under 30 seconds and Divya just over 2 minutes.
Well, Divya will have to make a few good moves. I think now she can go back with her knight to d6 and gaining basically material advantage, taking the rook in the next move. So, I mean, this is what has happened up to this point, and if it's going to be 3-1 on favor of Divya, this was kind of a knockout by the play what Divya did to Hou Yifan. So Hou Yifan really has to be incredibly seriously thinking how to bounce back, how resilient I can be, what do I have to make of my strategy, right? And she has only seconds and maybe minutes after this. Maybe they have a break of 1-2 minutes. So it is very hard to understand that, oh my God, my opponent is so much sharper than I am, because this is what we've seen, that you can also say that, well, maybe Hou Yifan was careless in some moments, but not really. I mean, she was just playing normal chess, and Divya started with this crazy powerful moves.
Yeah, it very much has been all about Divya and how she's been surprising Hou Yifan almost on every move. You know, she came incredibly well prepared. And now we're seeing, well, Divya is just simply a piece up. All she needs to do is consolidate, make sure that her king is completely safe, and then she will just cash in on that extra material. And there's just over 1 minute and a half on the match timer. Is it worth trying to save this game, or should she just throw in the towel and start a new game and then get that final game in with the white pieces?
I don't know. I think to resign, it's never too late, especially when you play a blitz. You can play until the very end. And also maybe she can use these seconds to recover, kind of. And, here she can still fight. I mean, she has a pawn for a piece. The knight from b6, it gets to c4 or d5, f6. Divya still has to make decisions. Like, I don't know if bishop e5, how good it was. Maybe she has to be very sharp and take on f6. But, okay, after bishop f6, rook f8. Now, queen f5 is played. And now after that, rook f1. So she sacrificed the piece that she can finish the game in style and attack queen e5. But okay, knight c4.
And queen takes e6 is what I was thinking.
But she could make it immediately, right?
Yes, maybe a little mouse slip, but probably not. And there we're seeing the queen come forward. Okay, just 8 seconds left on the match timer. And wow, we're going to see another game as Divya wins 3-1, but Hou Yifan does resign in time. And so we're on for another game. And this time Hou Yifan opens with e4 What are we going to see from Divya? We've seen Sicilian, we've seen Caracan. Okay, it's back to Sicilian.
I don't know actually how happy the players are because the 45 minutes has just run out, and basically it was only a matter of a second or two that they are moving to the next portion of the 3 minute and 1 second, right? And I think it favors Divya because now she's in the flow so much that she's happy to let's move on and on and on, and I'm going to have some fun ideas and I want to win the games, because simply it is so hard for Hou Yifan that she does not have time to breathe between the games, right? I mean, to digest these happenings, what was going on after every game. There were some moves which you need time to digest just to understand for yourself. I mean, what was this knight fd2 in the previous game? Was I completely lost already? But that cannot be. It's just the opening. I didn't make such a big mistake. Well, what went wrong, right? So this is the thing, that when you play a game in the same opening, you have time a little bit at least to think how you are going to be improving. And this time it does not exist in this match, in this format. So you can go back again and again and again to play the same system without your opponent realizing how they can improve. But this one now, it's a very solid game. Very, very solid. So it will be extremely difficult for Divya to come up with some special, tactical, unexpected good idea, I believe. But let's see how she's going to be playing this. Is she going to play g6, moving back the bishop to g7? Like this, I think, can be the move possibly. Or is she going to be playing rook c8? And we see rook c8 on the board.
Rook c8 being played. And okay, I'm just checking the opening database. And yeah, this has been played before. Castles was the main response there. And sure enough, Hou Yifan does find that natural move. And here, just one game on my particular database, king h8 was played from black.
Well, king h8 makes a lot of sense. I like king h8 idea because after that, well, like knight e7 is a move that you can consider, but then knight takes f6 comes with a check. And if you go king h8, once white takes on f6, black does not have to take it back, but black is able to capture the pawn on the bishop on c4 to have the intermediate move. So that's why after king h8, it can be some tricky challenges for white. White has to prepare against knight e7, and king h8 is on the board.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I agree with that comment there from Sambuca 2020. Yifan needs this win to turn the momentum. She absolutely does need to start scoring the points. I mean, she's had some promising positions with the white pieces. It's just that she's not managed to put them away. Divya has been very slippery. She's been finding these tactical resources just to keep the game alive. And here we're seeing Divya, she's, as Judith pointed out, she's just preparing to break out at the right time. I mean, black has to break out in this type of positions, because if you don't, then white just sits there pretty with a knight on d5 and gets full control over the center and also the queen side. So now for Hou Yifan, she just needs to consolidate. And I'm expecting moves like queen e2, or maybe I really wanted to go a5, but I don't think that works.
Queen d2. I don't like queen d2 that much because still this bishop is shaky. It can be hanging, right? Mm-hmm. It's queen d2 somehow. I would rather have queen e2 on the board, I think, and then rook d1. But I think Divya will be trying to play f5 in some way or another. So maybe she's going to be playing g6 first and going back with the bishop, and then trying to go f5. So that is kind of in the spirit, the way she was playing the whole match and her style.
Yeah, there's so much in her style, right? Just to go for the jugular immediately. And, well, it is now Divya. She's got plenty of time on the clock to come up with a response. And we're expecting g6, just so that she can start the counterplay immediately. But you do have to work out, what happens say, for instance, after some trades, but the bishop is hanging. This is a problem. The bishop is hanging on c4. So you can't
Bishop is
easily.
hanging. Yeah. Yeah, so g6 is an option for her. Otherwise, knight e7. Knight e7 is also a very logical continuation, to be honest. That's also very logical.
Yeah. And then the bishop would just simply drop back out of harm's way.
Bishop
But of course,
g4.
why not ask the questions? What are you going to do about this knight on f3? And Hou Yifan just quickly responds with queen to d3.
Why not ask the question, but bishop g4 I think is not a good move. Because the bishop does not belong to g4. And to exchange the f3, my god. No. No, the e6 bishop was needed desperately to play f5 to support the move f5. And the f3 knight is basically, it was the worst piece for white. It was a very bad exchange.
Yeah. And well, interesting, right? Because everything, the battle revolved around the d5 square and Divya just making some inaccuracies as she tries to break out. But okay, knight to e7 is a good move, but now we have the dreaded opposite color bishops, but it's white who has the momentum. It's white who has a bishop that is targeting both f7 and b7, and white is the one who has better control, target on d6. I mean, this bishop on g5 just doesn't play a role.
Exactly. The way you pointed out, exactly. This is the truth, that it's not only that black has a very weak square on d5, but having the bishop on d5, it's much more powerful than this bishop on g5. It's just doing nothing, biting air.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, g6, logical. She wants to go f5 after that. But with the bishop on d5, even if you go f5, it's not the same than if you would have a white square bishop supporting it.
And Divya now just struggling both on the board and on the clock, as Hou Yifan does look like she's going to get a much needed victory, which would narrow the gap down to 1 point. But there we're seeing breakout from Divya. I think Divya is doing all the right things now that she's found herself in a bad position. She's just trying to activate her pieces and initiate chaos. And at the very least, just keep forcing Hou Yifan just to burn some time on the clock. So I don't think Hou Yifan should be tempted by moves such as pawn takes pawn and grabbing pawn on f7, even though I am a very materialist, because I just don't want to be in a position. As white, you want to be in full control, and grabbing on f7 somehow invites black to get active.
Well, now you cannot take on f7. I didn't like rook a1, by the way. I was not happy with that. You have to take it eventually. You have I don't think you have a choice. And if you take it already, maybe immediately it was better. Black has a very difficult position. Very difficult. Queen a4 now.
Now comes the rooks. I'm expecting rook to b8. And
I think queen a4 was much better before, because if it would be white to move, white could do now bishop c4, pushing back the rook, exchange the queen, and take the a5 pawn. Now it's not exactly this. What about the f7 pawn? Rook b2, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, there's no need for that. You can keep control, right? You can go b3, and she steps rook d2, and maybe this is a step in the wrong direction because the rook is forced off the d line where it was eyeballing the pawn on d6. And
Absolutely.
one thing that I want to say is that white does have to take the time out to take some care over her king. So I am expecting white to kind of push forward with an h3.
Okay, but don't
small
forget,
move.
5 seconds on her clock. Divya is very much down on time. If she's going to save this game, she saves everything.
Oh, well.
I know. I said it. I know it's a big saying, but with 5 seconds, no way that she can save it.
Well, we're going to see what Divya is made out of, as she has a difficult position, but seconds left on the clock. And Hou Yifan, she is piling on the pressure. The rook is now mobilized. Divya is playing very, very quickly, though.
Bishop f7 was possible instead of rook c6, sacrificing the bishop.
Mm-hmm. Well, Hou Yifan now ticking down to the 33-second mark. And this is the moment where things had to happen. Okay, the b2 pawn is on breeze, but you do have a rook c7. That's the point. And the black king is running out. No. You cannot survive with a king out there on h6.
No.
And the question for Hou Yifan is how she just simply going to survive this. Okay, well, some counterplay on b2, but you feel it's not enough. The black king is so unsafe.
Okay, now sacrificed. H takes
Can
g5,
you not take on
king g6. Nice move.
And
nice
don't take
move,
on
king
g5.
g6.
You can't take on g5 with the queen because you got rook to g7 at the end of it. And
look what a beautiful king g2, queen h1. Beautiful touch by Hou Yifan.
Absolutely is a beautiful game there from Hou Yifan, who managed to steady the ship as she gets that much needed comeback win. And that means that Hou Yifan, she narrows the gap down from 2 points to 1 point. So she is trailing 3 points to 2, but Divya Deshmukh making an impression on us all with her fiery brand of chess there, Judith.
Absolutely, it was fun to watch how the games unfolded, with serious mistakes, but with great and fun ideas. I mean, the game one, that was kind of a crucial game. Because in game one, it was clear that Hou Yifan took the initiative. She was better. Maybe she was happy too early and unexpectedly with this material rook sacrifice on f2. Divya confused Hou Yifan. She got confused, lost all her time, and then basically escaped to a perpetual check. So things happened so fast. And after that, simply Divya in game two, this special move a4, and after that sacrificing the piece and having the 3 pawns on the queen side, it gave an incredible kick for Divya. And then basically it's like she punched Hou Yifan, who was like still going around.
Well. It has been quite the experience so far, and we've only just come to the first portion. But I can tell you that don't forget to subscribe to our Twitch channel, because you unlock exclusive emotes of your favorite players, no ads on Chess.com, and fun content during the broadcast breaks. So use !subscribe in chat to level up your streaming experience. And we're going to be right back with the Blitz portion just after this break. See you then.
Now looking back at your career, do you think all the hard work to become one of the best chess players in the world was worth it? Would you do it again, or would you choose a different path? Well, I don't think I can say I would do a different path. I was so successful and I love the game so much that when you love the game, when you're successful, when you have all those achievements, I think it's very hard not to like it. Of course, I would do it again. I had so many good things in my life through chess that I don't think I would like to change that. Do you think we'll see a female player become a world champion in the open category in the near future? And are there any current players you believe have the potential to achieve this? I do believe that someday there is obviously a possibility that a female will become the absolute world champion. But right now, I would more like to see maybe several ladies in the top 20, let's say. I think that would be a bigger achievement to show that ladies are capable. And obviously, it's possible from my perspective. Right now, I can't pinpoint out anybody that much who is already very close. But of course, there are players like Botana. I met her. She's a huge talent. She loves the game. But she's not the only one. There are other, obviously, many Indian girls, I think. Maybe we don't even know them. But I even met several ones who, if everything turns out well and they are dedicated, the parents are supportive, they have good coaches, they have all the potential to become the best player they can. And I strongly believe that it's not a matter of gender. So obviously, I'm very supportive on that. And I hope that in a decade or two, we are going to see several girls being in the top 20, let's say.
We are back, and it is time for the 3+1 portion. 30 minutes of pure, unadulterated joy. And part of it is actually thanks to this lady, Divya Deshmukh. She's recently become a grandmaster, so she's grandmaster elect. But she is bringing a very special brand to the game. It's complete fireworks on the board. Chaos will reign, and so far she is nurturing a 1-point lead over four-time women's world champion Hou Yifan. Now, Hou Yifan, she's won a lot of things. She also won the WSCC back in 23, so she's no stranger to this format. And we'll have to see what she comes to this portion, what she comes armed with, because she does need to shake things up a little bit, doesn't she?
Well, I believe, Yovi, that this game made her bounce back in the match very much. I see her, look at her face. Look at the way she sits there. She's back in business. She has only 1 point behind. That's nothing. And she showed in this game that if I steer the game in the direction I want, being more solid, I'm much better. And let's see how Divya can steer the game back to the wavy and the angry sea that anything can happen. Or so who is going to win with her strategy, right? Because it's very clear that Hou Yifan has to go into a solid direction. And we are kicking off with a new portion of 3 minutes and 1 second. We see again the C3 Sicilian kind, but now we're going to see a little bit different structure, I believe. The French structure.
Yes. It is definitely a French structure. Something had to give. Hou Yifan lost 2 bad games against Divya's earlier attempts, so she definitely had to change it up. And yeah, you'd called it. I do think that Hou Yifan's game is going to be just to lock everything down. It's going to be the immovable object versus that unstoppable force. And here comes Divya, H2, H4. You know, don't play knight to G3, G6 because H5 is incoming at the right time. So wow, H6 being played, and then we are seeing that Divya is like sacrifice pawn. I know.
But look at that. I mean, Divya she's just not taking back a pawn, right? She's playing a gambit, like trying to confuse her opponent, unbalance the game, going for initiative, for space. Now knight b3, knight d4. I mean, it's kind of bluffing, it seems, but maybe it's not because it's not so easy to develop with the black pieces. Knight a5.
It's certainly not easy. And there we see knight a5. You know, that makes a lot of sense because if you can initiate some trades, the knight on e7 can jump to c6, and at least you have a home for all of your pieces. Although I still got to say that is, even with those trades, it's not going to be very easy for black to find a safe place for the king, because despite me being a materialist, I'm always looking for a home for the king to hide out.
Well, for the king, it's going to be lot of questions to be asked before it can decide where and how to put into safety. Rook b1. I like rook b1 a lot. Knight takes a5 now is a threat, and the b7 pawn. So your knight e7 to c6 arrived.
Yes, and question time.
I would
now
love to go
is-
queen g4 now. That's what I would like to do, but there's an f3 knight in the way.
Yep. And well, she just develops a piece. I mean, that's a very calm move, right? You just say, hey, I'm going to make my compensation positional. And I'm with you. I was thinking, how can I get a queen out to g4? But yeah, maybe you don't need to. Maybe you can. Really want to centralize a knight. I want to go knight bd4.
Yeah, but I don't think that to give away this bishop it benefits white. Or if it I don't want to give that.
Yeah, I also feel
I like that bishop.
I like
that's
the
why
bishops.
that's why I'm not even sure I was happy to put it on e3, because in these kind of positions the bishop on c1 can be just as powerful than on e3.
Exactly.
But okay,
the long range
the bishop
pieces.
on e3. Sorry.
No, I was just going to say the long range pieces, and that's one of the great things about bishops, that they're able to traverse the board in just one move. And I actually really like what Divya is doing, how she did make a trade, keeping the dark square bishop. Wait 1 second. Hang on
One
a second. His
blunder.
knight takes
Knight
e5.
a5. Bad news.
Ooh, that's a slip up. And there you go, it appears. And obviously you can't take that knight because of the loose queen hanging on a4. So queen takes queen is going to be met by knight takes queen. And black has now pocketed a second pawn. And this is very bad news for Divya. And Hou Yifan, she's well on her way to equalizing the match. Suddenly, a lost
Oh, she
sister of the game.
exchanged. Very bad news for her. Oof.
Yeah.
This is not the game to play. To follow. It's gone. Sorry. I was very happy with the other games, ups and downs and everything, but here it just seems so hopeless. It's like 2 pawns down. Black has a healthy position with the rook on c8. She might even end up regrouping her pieces. Knight f6, knight e5, bishop c5 is possible. But bishop c5 maybe actually would be giving back a pawn. Bishop e7, attacking this pawn. No, I understand that white is not resigning because you have to fight. But she has to use this time also not only just making moves and fighting, because it's very hard to say that you're fighting to save the game with practically 3 pawns down. Okay, now she can take on b6, and then it's only 2. 2 pawns is missing from our camp. But I think it would be very wise if these seconds in the rest of this game, she's using it to recover her mindset for the next game.
Yeah, and you talked about recovering the mindset. Like, how would you recover from what is now 2 bad moments in the games? Queen to a4, uncharacteristic slip up there from Divya. How does she get back from this?
Well, she has to understand, I think, very clearly that, okay, now we are starting everything from scratch. And that's the good version, because she lost the last game, and if she's going to lose this game, it means that she's psychological minus right now in the match, even though the match is balanced and equal. I mean, I'm wondering while I'm talking and criticizing what's the situation for white. I mean, she's fighting, trying to put pressure on the c4 pawn, but I hardly can imagine that it's possible to save.
No, I'm expecting rook c5, and sure enough, it appears. Okay, well, white has a few checks, right? Yeah, this is a nice defense to that.
This I didn't like at all
Ooh.
what black did. f6, huge mistake, misplaying the position for black, make it much more harder than it was. Still winning, but it was much more winning from practical point of view, I believe. I mean,
The
here,
players
okay,
now, they're just on seconds, Judith.
yeah, but white has less seconds.
That is true, but we've seen that when it comes to those closing seconds, that Divya is capable of playing fantastic chess. And there you're seeing that it's Hou Yifan that's made the blunder. She's dropped the G pawn.
Oh my god! What is this?
And sadly, the king needed to stay in touch with the E pawn, but maybe it's time for her to. Wow. Now the G pawn is going to be. Now is the king going to lead from the front? Now this is a draw.
Rook G4?
This is a draw. You just can check. And now you check again and you bring the king. Oh!
King D3. My god. Oh. This game is painful.
And now this is like the Lucina position. So
E3.
how is she going to do it? Yeah, E3. And now you go king here.
She
and
goes
then the
king
key thing
E2.
is that you go rook.
Why king E2? Rook E2 was immediately.
Oh!
And she won on time, not on position.
Right.
Oof.
But that's yeah, you could have just played rook to d1 there. But anyway, okay, Hou Yifan won. It was a scrappy win, but she has equalized. The scores are 3 points apiece. And we are seeing Hou Yifan go back to e4, and it's the Sicilian once more. Well, we haven't seen Divya get too many successful openings. You know, she's been struggling a little bit with this structure,
the black pieces.
Going bishop e6.
With the black pieces, Divya is struggling. I mean, with the white pieces, I mean, even in the previous position game, it was quite okay. I mean, she got the position, the type she wanted. But now it's interesting that Hou Yifan goes not the solid way of bishop e2 short castle, but maybe she's castling long.
She's using the momentum, but is this a good strategy to switch things up, go for this opposite side castling, especially when Hou Yifan was doing so well, you know, with establishing this bind on d5 and playing that slow game?
Well, this is not going to be that type. I mean, Hou Yifan was playing in her active years like this, also with healthy, energetic game. She was not so solid that she was looking the solid direction. But of course, here there is a lot of more tactics possible than in the more solid short castle bishop e2 system, which she played in the previous game. Knight f5.
And for those players who don't play professionally, I would say like Hou Yifan, who's working, what is the weakest part of the game, do you find, with people who are not match ready, so to speak?
You're asking the right person in this.
I am.
because I'm not playing, but I'm not playing at all, not only as little as Hou Yifan. I think the biggest problem when you play very little, that you feel very rusty and you're unhappy with yourself because you're short on many ways. In time, that's one of the most important. You're out of time because you're insecure and you double and triple and you're rechecking everything because of your insecurities. So you end up in time trouble, which gives extra problems. And the problem is, it's like, you know, you start your car, the engine, you stop, you start the engine, you stop, and it's not nice to to start again and again and stop and go again. So you don't have this flow, this feel for the game. It's like you do a lot of sport every day for 2 years, and then you don't do it for 2 months. Nothing really happens, but you feel that you're rusty, your muscles are not like that. I should be trying. So everything comes much more difficult, not so natural. And then also when you make your mistake, then you're much more unhappy with it because you don't have enough time to correct it, recover from that. This is what I would think. And of course, also that
Yeah.
you have other expectations from yourself because you know that you were so good, you were so sharp, you were not doing these kind of mistakes before, and then you're kind of disappointed with yourself, and that's not a nice feeling.
No, it's certainly not a nice feeling. And talking about nice feelings, I'm looking at this position, and Hou Yifan, she might have chosen a sharp variation, but it seems to have a very nice positional advantage. She's got pressure against d6. Also, her bishop is way more effective than the light squared counterpart for the time being. And I don't know how you're going to defend the bishop and the pawn.
Yeah, this is a problem that after queen g3, the double attack works for white. Even though, okay, for us, we see the position and we see the evil bar. In the game, it's not so obvious that it's so good for white than here, looking the evil bar, because f5 bishop, after all, it can be scary. At the same time, white is going to be grabbing this pawn as well, I think, after... Oh, rook c2, look at that. Let's see if Divya can save this one. So the first game, it was rook f2 saving incredibly, and now on the other side, going rook f2. Rook c2.
Okay, well,
But I don't know what's her
this is the
idea.
big issue. Yeah, what is the idea? So after bishop takes rook and you take, you're going to check on the diagonal and just
The
drive that
problem
king
is
out
bishop
into him.
c7. This is the problem.
Yeah.
This is the
And
problem.
and there we're seeing rook to c8 being played and bishop to c7, as you predicted.
I think Divya probably blundered this move.
Mm-hmm.
But okay,
Yeah.
otherwise it would be just saving the game.
Yep. And there you can see it's a great move, a very key move, absolutely, as Judith points out. So if white didn't have this resource, black would be putting a whole lot of pressure on the position. But there we're seeing takes. I mean, the white king is still out in the open, so you might have still some chances to save it, especially because both players are under the minute. The d pawn falls.
But
And
what
the
is
queen
this rook d1?
oh, take on a2.
Yeah. She was just expecting queen c6 and that the bishop is not possible to take. Now she's back in business, to say
Now
the
this is
least.
anyone's game. I know this is anyone's game. I mean, the white king is very shaky.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And black has
Yeah.
2 pawns for the piece. Probably rook d8 was a good decision to make, to simplify the position.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
And
Divya goes
I
down
guess
on
now
time.
black can
3.
she could throw in a few checks.
Yeah, but maybe just b3.
Mm-hmm. Queen a2. And
No,
now
king
you have
d2.
queen
King d2 is
queen
good.
d7 is going to be met by a block. Yeah. Still, anything can still happen, right? You know, because black has some pass pawns, and there we see Divya just fighting hard. This is a nice point. Centralize the queen. And yeah, you can't. Divya has been so awkward, targeting now a g2 pawn. She just keeps fighting until the bitter end. And now Hou Yifan down to seconds. Taken b4. And do you see how quickly these players are playing with just that 1 second increment?
They have no choice.
Yeah. But now, is there any checks? How is she going to escape these checks? Divya just performing a Houdini escape. Well, okay, it doesn't really matter because Hou Yifan just relying on her instinct and the checks keep on coming.
Queen b5. That was a
Yeah.
mistake. She had to take on b3, I think.
And if she'd taken on b3, it still would have been good chances, I think, with this time situation to hold the draw. And now the white king is safe, so you can just advance the b pawn. And now black is going to lose it. And there we see Hou Yifan wins. And for the first time in this match, she takes the lead. And well, it was a big fight there from Divya, but in the end, it was not enough. I mean, it was just a question of the clock, right? So now we're seeing Divya back in her home territory. She's got the C3 Sicilian on the board. And it's a different approach there from Hou Yifan. This is very topical line.
Yeah, I remember when I was also playing this and analyzing this many, many years ago that you don't want to have this closed position with the French type of position and you go d4. It is very different structure. You're going to go d3 and knight d2, trying to get to, knight to d2, knight e4, or knight c4. So without the white square bishop is also kind of less tension in the game. Rook d8. So white is going to go c4, I believe.
Yeah. And it's a very unconventional pawn structure, right? With a pawn on c4, another pawn on e5. There's no presence of light squared bishops. So I agree, close the position down because otherwise d3 was going to be a weakness. And now, she's planning g5, Judith. I feel it in my bones.
You think so?
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Well,
now we are not going to know it. Is she going to play h5 or comes knight d2?
Now almost.
Unexpected. Very unexpected that Divya is behind in time. Usually at this stage she had advantage.
Yes.
Why is this a question mark? g5, you're right.
Yeah, well, now we're seeing pure chaos on the board. And the question is, knight to g6, is all systems go here? Okay, you got to step back with the bishop, or you got to go queen to d2. There's nothing for it. I mean, it's a difficult position to play, I think, with the white pieces. Because black's plan is so easy, right? It's just target
Black is
e5
playing with great
open.
energy.
And now we're seeing, now you can target e5. So I'm expecting, I was thinking either bishop g7, just to immediately go for the pawn, or
But maybe f4. Maybe black wants to take on e5. What do you think? With knight g takes e5.
I was too afraid to suggest that one.
I understand.
It looks scary.
It looks scary, but we're analyzing. We're commentators.
That is true. That is true. That is very, very true. Bishop e7. Okay. This is a safer type of move. And also one thing I wanted to point out is after, say, like a move like knight to f3, sounding a retreat, like can get really funny and go knight king d7 and then king c8. And then you go, well, it was all part of the grand plan to sacrifice a pawn because black has a ready-made attack down the h line.
It was so funny, like while you're saying that you want to go to king d7 and I'm just commentating freestyle quite a lot. So I was thinking just castle. Put the king on c8. Why to waste time with king d7?
King did come to d7 and is going to find a home on c8. And suddenly, there is a ready-made attack down the h line. And okay, I know it was given an X band. There, knight takes e5. So Hou Yifan, it's completely taken me by shock the way that she switched gears, because we saw in the first portion that the way that she won was by keeping control, outplaying Divya positionally. And now she's like, I'm going to embrace the chaos. I'm going to meet her in her own battlefield. And wow, we have a big fight.
Absolutely. And the players are going to have around 1 minute with this chaotic position. And once in the near future, Hou Yifan wants to go rook h7, doubling the rook on the h5. And what Divya is going to be doing about it. Look at that. f4, f5 counterattack. Very nice move. Very nice move.
Yeah.
I guess the only move
And
also, but sharp.
definitely. And as someone who's in retirement, would you say that the competitive spirit never goes away?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, once you take the I don't know how you say it, that I mean you start fill the game really, and then things go in your own way, right? And we can see
Yeah.
that basically it was Hou Yifan in this game who started some moves that she clearly wanted initiative, like by playing h6 and giving a hint of g5. So the rook
Okay.
showed up on the h file.
Yeah, and now there's a big threat of rook to h1, and now we are seeing. I mean, I did wonder whether there was some knight takes e6 stuff for Divya, but this is a difficult position. The white king is going to get checked. The black king is very, very safe, but it's still very messy. And Divya just
Oops,
five
mate in
seconds,
one.
and Hou Yifan wins.
In f2 she
Oops!
played and got checkmated in one. But you know what's
Just when I say it's
interesting?
messy.
Plus
Mhm.
2, right? Isn't it plus 2? Yeah, plus 2 for Hou Yifan, leading. Very big dilemma for Divya. How is she going to bounce back in this match, in this middle portion of this match? After this game, probably they will not have enough time before going and entering into the bullet part. So it's going to be very, very tough for Divya to get back. And while I'm following this match live, I remember when I was playing with Karpov quite a lot. When in the early '90s I was playing. I mean, he was very much in his prime years. I must say, '94 he won Linares, crushing everybody basically. But later on, when I played with him in this millennium already, after 2000, and later in like almost 2010 or something, I felt that he was doing so many other things in life that when he went to a tournament, you could feel that in the first two rounds, he was warming up, he was making much more mistakes, he was completely rusty. But if the tournament was long, then there was a huge difference in quality of play in later games because he needed a switch in his mindset to forget things or as much as he could about other things he was doing. And then he played much better. And this is what I feel also with Hou Yifan now, that maybe in the beginning she was not there completely, so she needed time somehow to recover. And especially this previous game, I mean, she played very powerful.
Yeah, she did. And yeah, I guess it's the excitement of a challenge, right? You kind of level up because Divya came in swinging. And now Hou Yifan has said, hey, I'm going to play positional chess. Now I'm going to switch to aggressive chess. And we're talking about aggressive. It's very much there on the board as we are seeing a king side attack on the making. And queen to d3 awarded a question mark, but that wasn't the best move. Apparently, queen c2 was the better move, but that's very anti, positional to kind of put your queen
Yes, but that was
opposite
very
the enemy rook.
concrete because I think it was very concrete because it was important to leave the diagonal for the bishop to a6. But here also White has a fantastic position.
Yeah.
Amazing position
I
she
mean,
has. I mean,
and time to get rolling is what I would say. So I would be immediately looking at g4. I mean, I wouldn't be
g4.
taking on a6, but maybe I should.
Well, also bishop f3 is yeah, if we have it on the board. Bishop f3 is a very classical way of reinforcing the d5 square. Probably e4 should be done by black, I think, and then knight e5.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, probably. That looks like a nice way to break out, and very much in Divya's style, I gotta say. She's not afraid of giving up material in order to get active. What other moves? It feels like moves like knight takes knight is just simply allowing white to come in and just get a grasp in the center. And there we're seeing a5. Well, she's got plans of a4. It's still very much unclear.
Well, she just wants to save her pawn from a6. That's why she played a5, I believe. I mean, if black goes
Wow.
a4, you know what I'm going to do? I just grab it, take it, and say thank you. Whatever pawn you're going to give, I'm just taking and thanking. So after rook
Yeah.
c1, white's plan is to go rook d1 as well. Of course, black's knight d4 trying to simplify the position, getting rid of with the pawn and pieces on the long diagonal a1 h8, so the bishop can be brought out to f6 and get some power there. I'm not even sure white is going to be taking on d4, you know.
I would not take on a d4 just because, again, when it comes to opposite color bishops, it's all based on targets and activity. And take a look at that. She took on d4 and then suddenly queen comes out to a7.
I'm
And
sorry,
there
but
is a
now,
big move here.
isn't this
Takes.
possible?
It looks possible because then you can check on f6 and then take
I
on
can't believe it.
f5.
What happened with Divya? Bishop b2? She doesn't see bishop b2? What is this?
Yep, that was the killer move. I think
But
she
what
just wasn't
happened to
looking for it.
Divya? But you don't look at for these things. They are just come to your mind. I mean, the way she played the first two games, it just came to her mind. I mean, here he should just take it. Okay,
Maybe
she's
it was that
contemplating.
loss. Maybe it was that loss back in the last game of the 5+1, you know, because she was on a momentum. It was giving her energy. She was finding all these brilliant resources. Okay, well, now we have another shot at victory for Divya, and it's time to utilize the rook. Nope.
No, I think she
that was
should
not
go
the
rook
move.
c8 first. She had to go rook c8 first, and after that rook d8.
Yep. That was the way forward. But still, it's a very unpleasant position, I would say, for Hou Yifan. You know, this bishop on f6 is just a beast. What Hou Yifan's extra pawn is just literally b3. And we're seeing some trades. Oh, but Hou Yifan just 12 seconds on the clock, and the position still a little bit tricky, but well within. Oh,
Mouse
she
slip.
blundered checkmate. She blundered checkmate. And wow, was
Oh.
much needed victory for Divya as she starts inching her way towards eating that score because now it's 5-4. Anything can happen. This is going to be the final game in 3+1 portion.
No, this is
Oof.
this game was essential, critical for the outcome, final result of the match.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there we see Divya with the white pieces. She switches it up. No c3 Sicilians anymore. Instead, testing Hou Yifan in the Queen's Indian or Nimzo Indian. Yep, it's Queen's Indian.
It would be so interesting for me to understand, and maybe when we have the winners at the end and whoever we are going to be speaking, to ask them, how do they choose? How do they switch? Really, in this 1.5 second they get in between games, is it 100% intuition?
Well, we can ask them. And it's interesting, like, to ask how many openings they prepared for this specific match. Because David and some of the other guests on the show, they were saying that, you know, when you're playing blitz matches, you come armed with three or four openings. Some
Okay.
where you have to play in a must-win situation. And talking about must-win situation, Divya is really going for it as she advances the pawn. And if she wins this one, she levels the score, and suddenly it's everything to play for. It's going to be completely random in the 1 minute
She's just
portion.
going to tear her off in this game, you know? I mean, look at that. The tiger arrived. She's just going to take on f5, g4, knight g5, all these things.
And sure enough, it appears on the boards. And
knight
okay, she
h4.
goes for the f5 pawn. bishop h3 is coming next, and it's a materialist game.
Yeah, but actually knight on h4, it's if... what is she gonna do? Bishop h3? I rather like the knight on g5 than on h4 in this setup where I have my queen on c2 already.
Yeah. But it's very tempting, right, to go for that material, because you can see you can follow this up with bishop to h3. That's already two
Yeah.
happy moves that you played. And now the onus is on Hou Yifan to generate something, right? So you can meet counterattacks e4 by protecting c3. And still the question for Hou is, how are you going to defend an f5? You don't, or do you want to be stepping up with f4? I think you probably have to.
Well, I don't see any other move for black. Any tactics possibility instead of f4. I thought that she wants to go bishop f5. I mean, that bishop, she wanted to connect the rook, but maybe bishop a3 must have been played with the tempo. And also knight c5 now is going to be unpleasant. Huge recovery from that position.
Well, there's a pawn that's up for grabs on d7, and that's the first thing that I'm going to be looking at.
Don't tell me that you realize that the pawn is hanging on d7, yeah?
It took me a while to see it because I was thinking about your bishop a3 suggestion.
You're cheerful again. A pawn is hanging there. Let's grab that. Well,
but now I'm not so cheerful. Well, the problem now is that Hou Yifan's pieces have sprung to life. The bishop is bearing down on c4. It's weak. And I don't like the fact that this bishop is loose on f5.
E4.
Wow.
E4 will be.
Yep. She comes forward. E4 in the air. Oh.
Maybe f3.
Yeah, you have to do some repair work there, because
for white to see this knight on c5, it's like a horror. So when the knight is back on b8 and you have an extra pawn on d7, I much rather see that than a pawn missing on d7 and knight on c5. f3 is on the board.
Yeah. And I think this was very much needed, because this was the move that I was also afraid of. Bishop to c8, followed by some knight takes bishop, and you just take the light squares. So
at the same time, the bishop on a6 was also standing quite okay, putting pressure on the c4 pawn, right?
That is true. Look at this. Those have a trade. Divya, she's finding some good moves to survive. Knight needed to go to g2, and there's just threats of going g4. Oh, that was ambitious.
Probably she had to take g takes f4, but that was not a tempting option. For sure.
Yeah. Well, still anything can happen, because Hou Yifan is down to her final 22 seconds, and we see that, okay, Hou Yifan's pieces are very mobile, and there's still chances, though. Anything can happen when the
it's
clock
very
ticks
important
down.
For Divya not to lose this. It's essential.
Well, we might see that. She just has to hold her nerve. And
well, she has that.
Incredible.
H4, go for it.
I love that move. Threatening rook to g5. Okay, she doesn't do that, but this one is still very tricky. You can't take on g4 because the rook is on prise, and this is what she's relying on. Okay, but queen takes g4.
Really?
Check.
What is that? I would be scared.
Yeah. And now, still you can go queen h3. Now the rook is... Whoa. The White King is going walkabout. It's going to be chased to the center. The knight falls. The rook goes. And it is game over for Divya. Hou Yifan wins. And, well, after that, excitement takes a 2-point lead. What a match. I mean, in the 3+1 portion, that was all mainly Hou Yifan. She came out, she changed her style of play. It felt like she was just warming up. And we're going into the bullets with Hou Yifan leading by 2 points, 6 points to 4. Judith, what do you think we can expect from the bullet?
I don't know, a very important seconds and a 1-2 minute break between the bullet, I believe, because it depends very much how difficultly Divya is taking this game, because she must have felt in the beginning after the opening that it was her game. Like, I also got very enthusiastic, like just smash the opponent, but then she misplayed it completely. I don't know how much she feels bad about it, but she shouldn't really think about that and really focus, be full in the maximum intuition mode, and be fast and be sharp and make surprises for Hou Yifan to bounce back.
Yes, and the onus is now completely on Divya. Will she stick to her guns or will she begin to freestyle? And talking about freestyle, don't miss this week's Community Freestyle Friday. Every Friday, this event is open to everyone to compete in a Chess 960 style arena and win diamond membership on Chess.com. Starting at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time, try your hand at the unpredictable variant that has the chess world talking. So use !CommunityFF in chat or visit go.chess.com/communityff for more information. And, well, after a short break, we're going to be right back in the fast lane with the bullet. So see you then.
Join the community club on Chess.com and participate in amazing community events every week. On Mondays, challenge yourself with incredible openings in Opening Roulette. Don't miss on Title Tuesday every week right after Title Tuesday. On Wednesday, join Arena Kings and compete against a lineup of legendary creators. On Fridays, try the all-new Community Freestyle Fridays and throw opening theory out the window. And finally, round up the week by showing off your speed in the Community Bullet Brawl. Win prizes, battle legends, and challenge yourself. Play in the community tournaments every week on Chess.com.
It's a normal, puzzle. We don't have some funny, tricky things.
No, it's a normal puzzle.
Yeah, I was thinking like first B8.
If it's a puzzle, some moves like with the king are usually not working. The problem is that if you promote to a queen or to a rook, it's a stalemate. So we have to go very likely with some under promotion.
After knight, king e8, and if promote queens, you just move.
I have to put something and then to cover. So one of the ideas is to put, for example, a8 to go with the bishop, and then to promote with to a queen. Yeah, but if I do that, for example, if black plays king f8, then it works because I promote to a queen or to a rook. King f7, bishop d5 will come with a checkmate. But in case of king e8, it's also the mate, because I go here, and then no matter if black goes here or here, queen will come with a checkmate.
A8 to knight. Well, things like king e8, king e6, and promote queen is winning.
Doesn't matter if it's a bishop, bishop or a knight.
Okay,
Yep, correct.
Then just queens, it's winning, yeah.
Perfect. Well done.
It's back and it's time for the portion that excites us the most. It is, of course, a bullet. We're going to have 15 minutes of fast, furious chess. And we see Divya Deshmukh. She is trailing by 2 points. She needs to recover. She needs to win 2 points if she wants to take it to tie breaks. But for Hou Yifan, she has really leveled up. She's switched a gear, and we'll see what both of these players will be bringing to the table as we enter the 1+1. Judith, any advice for the bullet players out there?
Don't think about anything else. Just be focusing. Who is going to be more concentrated wins the match, I think.
Okay, it's all about focus. It's all about flow. It's all about letting your heart play those moves and, of course, being quick on the mouse. And we already see that there is a D6.
Look at poor Divya. She smiled because she thought knight f3 will be coming. So the pre-move D6, that's why it's there.
Yeah. But okay, this is not a bad system.
There is special online gambits, I think.
There are. But okay, if she can survive this one,
she fast.
Can exactly
play fast. Knight d7.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, knight d7 is necessary. You want to cover b6, but bishop to g7. Yeah, the problem is she's not that comfortable with the lack of space. There's no pawn breaks. This is going to get interesting. I agree.
Divya cannot lose this game. Not for necessarily for point purposes, the score, but for self-confidence purposes. Mm-hmm. It's a must that she is not losing this, I would think.
Yeah, and I agree. In terms of psychology, in terms of mindset, it's going to be very difficult to recover from quite a devastating start. And there we're seeing Hou Yifan, she's just playing her type of chess, keeping it solid, keeping full control, and just putting the questions, Divya, how are you going to untangle? B7 is a weakness, the knight jumps in. Okay, well, I wasn't sure about the knight jumping in. I thought that would be nice to leave that kind of jump in reserve. But still, this is super nice for white. White can play on both sides of the board. You can swing over with the rook to the king side. You can keep it solid on the queen side. This is very, very nice.
Yeah, but now rook c5, maybe. Queen b5, rook c5. I'm not sure the exchange of bishops at this point was so perfect for white. At the same time, it seems that Hou Yifan wants to be very solid, very clear, simplifying the position. Look at that. She plays c4 in order to simplify the position, but I'm not sure it's so good. I mean, the king on g1, rook c8 shows up. There are some tactics.
Yeah, I was actually expecting her to keep everything tight and just go for queen h6s at the right time. But okay, we have what we have on the board, and there the white king is not particularly safe. Ooh, I think she could have checked.
Well, their queen f4 was winning for white.
Mm-hmm. And now, okay, is there f4 ideas? Nope, there isn't, because the rook was on prise. Still f4 is in the air, but you can go into a rook and pawn endgame, as the players are doing, and then the...
Ooh. Hou Yifan, big trouble, huge trouble, and Divya is back in business.
And Hou Yifan struggling on the clock, as well as Divya manages to turn around the position, and now she's in a better rook and pawn endgame, but still Hou Yifan playing as actively as possible, coming forward with the king. It's coming.
Hou Yifan, no, Divya has to win this game.
Yes,
there's no way she can miss this opportunity.
But Hou Yifan just under 2 seconds on the clock, and Divya has a very straightforward plan, and she's playing so quickly. King e3.
She's insecure.
She's building up time.
Why not king e2? Why not king e2? Oh.
Yeah.
No, Divya is like being insecure. She doesn't know. She had so much opportunity. Now she has to sacrifice already a pawn. Yeah, and rook eats 3. I mean, okay, king e4. She probably will win, but she's so short on time as well. She has to be fast, pushing pawns, pushing the pawn.
Yeah.
Wow.
But this one is a win for Divya. As she starts to narrow the gap, just a 1 point between them. Yeah, Hou Yifan's king just too far away there in that endgame. And now we see Divya, she goes back to her e4.
Yeah, let's see what she can bring out of this. I think it was a good choice because it's a very pleasant position for white. Check. Knight e4. Oh.
Bishop e3.
Bishop e3 or knight d4, but bishop e3 is welcome.
Yep, develop a piece.
Take knight d2.
Well, now it's pressure against d5.
Not a nice
White's plan
position
is so
to be
simple.
in. What a position for white. Oh my god, this is something that you would like to avoid. Never see this and has to be playing. Take it.
And
yeah, take. It would have been possible to take it. She can take it again.
yeah, but Hou Yifan
Why not to
just
take
trying
it?
to get some.
But why didn't she take it? To keep the knights. Okay,
She
this
just
is
wants
also
control.
not bad.
She wanted to be maximalist about this whole thing and not give black any ounce of activity. And now we're going to see, well, okay, you got to move the queen. And Divya playing so fast there, Judith. Just
I want to
barely
remind
using
you
any
it's a
time on the
bullet
clock.
game. It's a crazy bullet game. She doesn't have a choice. Right? I mean, it's seconds.
Yeah, it is. And Hou Yifan, well, 24 seconds. And she's desperately trying to make her rook a nuisance. It's targeting b2. There's maybe some ideas of hitting f2 at the right time. But how is Hou Yifan going to maintain her rook there? She
Queen
cannot.
b5, how tricky move she made. Queen e8,
Okay, now she
queen
can give
e4.
a check.
Yeah, and queen
Exactly.
e4, d6, bye-bye. Equalizing match.
Queen there we see resignation.
Queen b5 with Divya. She knows what she's doing. Equalize, 6-6.
6-6, and there we have it. 7 minutes and 44 seconds of the match remaining. Everything is completely even, and here comes a knight. And the thing is, Divya is showing us that she's a fantastic bullet player. Really great, very, very quick. She plays precise moves. She puts pressure on Hou Yifan, and now Hou Yifan with the white pieces. Okay, knight to d4 is a move.
That's the most logical one, true.
And now c4, you can cover d5, and then you can start to ask questions about this bishop. You can maybe make an f3 move, and no, this was not the right move.
Okay, having a little imbalanced position, it's not the end of the world in a bullet game. Queen c2, b5 maybe. Or just go knight c4.
The pawn is hanging on f5.
Bishop d3 threat. So she has to be careful a lot about that. This is why b5 was much stronger, I believe.
Yeah.
Because now black has to go back to safety, to g6. Well,
it's still a mess though, Judith, because bishop d3, love that move. You're setting up h4, h5, checkmate on h7. The d5 pawn cuts the position in two, and there's just no entry squares for the rook on c8. So this is getting tense. h4, it's coming. How to defend against that? Kick away the queen. Nice active throw from Divya.
20 seconds for each. 20 seconds, white is winning. Can she convert it? Some bishop e5 will show up.
Yeah. Rook
No?
c8
Nice.
incoming. Rook c... Is it there? Bishop, yeah, this is a lovely move. And
She
now you
realized
can
that
go
the
rook
bishop
c8.
has to be on f5, but it's too late, losing 2 tempes.
And now the a-pawn falls. And I just love the way that Hou Yifan just kept control, made sure that black didn't get any checks. Nothing of the sort. And the pawn on b6 is hanging. And now she's just playing to dislodge that rook from f8. Yes.
Not so easy. Simplifying, but I'm not sure it's going to be making life easy for white. Well, it
now goes
does.
the pawn.
Yeah, pawn on d5.
Be careful, don't step up with your king because of
Yeah.
But
there is always an option to plunder.
And Hou Yifan does 4 seconds though. This is the question: can she hold her nerve? Throwing in a check. Knights are very crafty, and there you see the blockade is on the verge of being. Oh, she blundered her rook. Oh no! And Divya, wow, she has been gifted this, and now a3 pawn, g3 pawn. Yeah, it's a gift. Divya wins. Wow.
Ooh.
Wow. Okay, that's gonna hurt, Hou Yifan. And for Divya, that was just a gift from the gods. And there we're seeing Divya with the white pieces. It's a French. Okay, she's just closing it down. Just 3 minutes and 46 seconds remaining of the match.
Which means that we have this game and one more game. So this game can decide the match.
Absolutely. This one could potentially decide it all. And Divya is with the white pieces. If she wins, I don't think Hou Yifan will be able to recover from this one.
If she wins this game, she wins the match. No more.
Exactly.
It's only one more match. So there is no way Hou Yifan can lose this game, stay in the match.
Exactly. Hou Yifan needs to win if she wants to stay in the match. And well, the position is open. It's all good. And the thing
if it's
is
a draw, she can still equalize.
Well, this is the question. How long is it going to take to draw the match? To draw this game, sorry. Because if Divya takes her time, runs the match clock down, a draw will be insufficient.
Okay. So now they are playing with time on the board and outside of the board as well.
Exactly. It's a real game of cat and mouse. Hou Yifan in a must-win situation. Divya needs to drag this game out for as long as possible.
But it's a beautiful position. What a beautiful position. She just took a pawn.
There goes one pawn. And there.
No, but the previous game, it's impossible to recover. It's so much forward to the end. And she was winning, Hou Yifan completely winning. And not only she destroyed it to a draw, but she blundered to loss.
Yeah.
It's just... And she had about 1 second to start a new game with black. Okay, this she's not going to lose, by the way. She's going to hold this.
Well, she's not going to lose it.
No.
But the question is like, how long is it going to take her to draw this? She's only got, she's got less than 1 minute and a half to get to a drawn position, and Divya is going to drag this one on for as long as possible.
But I'm not sure. I'm not sure that Divya is aware of what's going on from this perspective in the match. Are you sure that she's following the time and she can? How many seconds we have? How many seconds? I mean, it's. What is this?
Yeah, and we see here Queen Jack. And okay, maybe Queen to D4 was
Rook E8. Rook E8 was better.
And there we see Queen to F3. Okay, we're going to see a Rook, and Judith, 54 seconds remaining of this match. I remember Hou Yifan practically in a must-win situation here.
Well, 6 seconds to
And
5. We'll see who is losing on time.
yeah. And we'll see whether Divya can string this game for as long as possible. And it's a draw. 32
And
seconds remaining of the match.
game.
We're going to have a net game.
But you can see that Divya is
so
not
fun.
happy. She's laughing. She knows that this game was not the game of her life.
Yeah.
Must-win situation for Hou Yifan.
Yes.
Absolutely
For Hou Yifan to take this to tie breaks. Absolutely needs to win. And if we do reach tie breaks, well, then we're going to see 4 extra games of a bullet. And if still tied, then everything is going to be decided by Armageddon. So we're going to focus on the game, but we'll come to that bridge when we cross it. But for the time being, Hou Yifan in a must-win situation with the white pieces.
Well, so far things are going pretty stable for Divya. She has more seconds on the clock. She has a very stable position. Queen c7, very nice. Putting pressure, a lot of pressure against the e5 knight. And look at that, white castle sacrificing that pawn because gaining back on d5. But how can she get any advantage here? How can white be really playing for advantage? Though it's unpleasant for black, but how unpleasant it can be.
Right. Well, one thing that you mustn't do with black is trade off queens, because then suddenly the rooks will infiltrate on d6 and black will be completely locked in. And here, it's very nice position though for white, because this bishop on c8 was not really working. And I'm, as white, I'm thinking about going h4, h5, trying to mix things up, but a5 appears on the board. And now it's a different kettle of fish, right? Because you don't want to be trading off queens with the white pieces, because then this bishop is coming out to c6, and Divya really playing some great moves to equalize the position.
But she's back in time. She's down in time. That's the only problem she has. But I think she's going to hold it. It seems that she's very stable in this game. She's extremely focused.
Yeah.
F5.
Everything on the line. Absolutely everything on the line. Oh, a draw will be enough to get Divya through to the semifinals, where she will be playing Katerina Lagno. And well, she's won the c2 pawn, and this is going to be very, very difficult to win. But
b4, look at that. Some danger is coming. Serious danger is coming.
And just under 10 seconds on the clock. How
very serious danger for Divya. Very serious danger. Oof. Rook f7, no, game over.
7.
Oh, mate, f4.
And we have it. Hou Yifan does it. She equalizes the match. You can see the emotion on her face as she manages to win in a must-win scenario. Now we're in the tie breaks, and that means that we're going to have 4 games of 1+1. But take a look at the emotions there on the players, and this is what is in store for us. 4 games of 1+1. The colors will be swapping after each game, and it's the first person to reach 2.5 points. Now, if the match is still tied after these 4 games, then everything is going to be decided by Armageddon, where the players will be bidding for the time. And do remember that the player playing black in Armageddon gets the draw odds. Wow. What a tale. What a fight it has been so far. This is going down to the wire, Judith.
Absolutely, it's nerve-wracking what has happened in the last 3 games. Not only what's happening on the chessboard, but the race with time. How much I have to make move, not running out of time, how much second we have until we switch different time control. And now is the moment for both players, like laughing that, okay, whatever happened, we still now. Let's go for the last portion of 4. and maybe +1 game.
Mm-hmm. And here we see it. It's Jabava London.
Is it?
Have I got my...
No.
Or is it a French? Yeah,
No,
it
no,
was
no. D4, D5. Yeah, it was a D4 start.
Mm-hmm.
But it could be, yeah, it could be Caracan or French. Yeah.
Yeah. It could. And Hou Yifan with the white pieces. And already there's pressure against his knight on e4. I mean, Divya holds firm. But I'm not liking this big square there on e5. And I'm also not liking the fact that this bishop on c8 is locked in. It's not getting out anytime soon. So knight d3, knight e5 on tap. White can just simply castle kingside. And how is black going to generate some play?
Well, yeah, bishop b5, it will happen, I think. But f3 will be pushing away the knight from e4. It's not going to be so nice. I mean, obviously you favor white, right, in this position, no question about it. Knight d3, putting pressure on e6. Knight c4, though. Knight c4. Fine. Didn't want to give the pawn. Yeah, but maybe after that already knight c4 is a threat. But she's not going there.
No.
She's trying to give
Divya.
some tricks.
I'm not sure about this particular move, rook h6, but okay, it might be rewarded after knight to d3. I mean, the whole reason...
I was sure she's going to play knight e4.
Yeah, of course. It was just too tempting, right? You know, he threatened some kind of nasties on h2. But you mean black has to take care because the rook is offside on h6. And so if Hou Yifan were to switch it up, I'm not sure about b4 because suddenly the play shifts over to the queen side. And look, the queen on d2 knits everything together.
Are we sure that we are happy to give up a pawn? Queen a7. Queen b5.
Not happy. And now,
what about
this is it.
Queen g5, Queen e7 is also something to watch out.
Yeah. And here it comes. Queen e7 in the air. Queen d8. Uh-oh. The rook is hanging. This is over. Divya is not coming back from this one, so you can take the rook. Oh, she doesn't. She allows rook to c4. She didn't take the rook, Judith.
I'm just speechless.
Yeah, she missed a rook c4. The rook comes in and saves the game in the nick of time. And
what is h4?
Now,
what do you mean h4? Why didn't she take on h4?
She was banking on b5.
Because she doesn't have time and she's pre-move mouse.
Wait. What is happening here? The e pawn is going to fall. First, the h pawn.
All the pawns are
everything
falling.
Is fallen. Oi. It was the clock. And no.
I would go g4, you know?
Yeah, and now king goes
g4
to f7.
and king g6.
The black king is in the kill zone and the e-pawn is advancing. So Hou Yifan wins that game. Now it's Divya's turn with the white piece. And do remember, the first person to reach 2.5 points is going to be winning the tie break. So Divya must strike back.
Yeah. And Hou Yifan took the lead.
She does take the lead. And Divya, what do we think about this change of approach? I mean, she's been very good with e4, now changing to c4, d4.
I think it's quite okay. I mean, it's so important that you're happy what you're playing, and you have to be fast, you have to be intuitive. And as we emphasized so many times, you have no time. Basically, you have to make not necessarily good moves all the time, but you have to make smart moves. By making a decision to switch openings, by making surprising move when your opponent has very short on time. So it's intuition is taking the main role in this bullet. You know, I haven't played bullet too much, maybe just a few games in my life.
Really?
But I'm not an online player anyway, and basically Bullet you play online, right? You don't set up the clock Bullet, or do you? I give away my age with this sentence, I think.
Well,
Not playing Bullet.
It was very popular in my house to play this kind of game, which is like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So if you won your game, you would then go down to 4 minutes, and at the end, the person who'd won a lot would be playing 1 minute maybe against 5, and that's how I played a lot of Bullet.
Okay, interesting. But Divya is going to bounce back here. I mean, she has a fantastic position.
She does, and now there's a beautiful pin there, and
B4. B4 problem. Bishop F6, or just simply taking and going rook. I don't know. Maybe Bishop F6 was better. Going rook D3, rook A8.
Isn't
okay.
rook D3 gonna net an exchange? And well, Divya doing some great things here. She's got a very straightforward plan. Just double up on the C line, rook C7 incoming.
Interesting defense by Black.
And Hou Yifan on seconds again. 6 seconds ticking down. Oh,
rook C8 check.
And look at that, rook C8.
No, rook C8 was not enough, it seems. But again, time-wise.
It was just
King
instinct.
G2, excellent move.
Yeah,
what is this?
Queen takes pawn. Now this is it's going to be equal. And Hou Yifan gets away with it. This is now an equal rook and pawn endgame, and now it's just a question of just...
What a miss.
She had checkmate in the palm of her hand, and I'm sure she realized that, like, literally 1 second after she made the move.
Look at that!
She dropped the rook! Oh, and she's laughing, but that has got to hurt as Hou Yifan wins a second game. And now Divya must win.
Well, this is actually happened. I mean, Hou Yifan blundered with rook b7, right? It's the same story. She was a winning position, and then she played rook b7, knight b7 in the 3-minute portion, I think. And so this, oh my God. So now she's a must-win situation twice. Ooh, this is the position. Oh my God. This how can you win this? How can you think you can win this?
Well, Divya is going to try to win this one, and she's going to show us how to unbalance things. It will be an absolute miracle if Divya manages to pull off the ultimate and force it to Armageddon. She's making her bid for that right now as she pushes F5. You've got to unleash chaos. Otherwise, White was just sitting very comfortably with a knight there on D5. So this is a step in the right direction. And now she just has to find the follow through. I guess you can just clear the path. She's going for pawn storm. I think that it's going to get shaky, but I think Black has some good chances for a counterattack.
Well, knight e1 I don't like. That's a good start for Black to have f3 or something. Queen f7 now. Actually, yeah. h5, f3. Yeah. No, I mean, Black has a fantastic... Knight e2? No, what? It looks almost lost for White. I mean, this g4 queen.
Yeah, it does look like it's a little bit trapped. And I use a little bit trapped like the British would use it. So, yeah. Yeah, this certainly feels like this is a match for the grand finals. And here comes h5. And now comes f3.
But why f3? But why f3?
Rosh just wants to take space.
Yeah, but you let the queen back.
Yeah, but it's irresistible, right? To threaten some aggression on the king side. And there we're seeing, I think we're going to see Divya managed to deuce this. And now we have a wild
GH4.
situation. Whoa, rook g4.
Well, okay, the players went through a lot of things in this match in the last 2 hours.
Mm-hmm. The knight comes. Knight can jump into f4. g5. g5. What a move.
Yeah,
It
what
was
is
actually...
this? Hey,
What is
it was not good to take.
Yeah. And Divya. Well, now the rook comes. Judith. We're
I'm
on.
just looking the game. I forget to speak because
We are on, Judith. Is Divya is now completely winning,
Isn't
the
it
F
check
pawn
and
is going to
F2?
clinch it. Exactly. The black
Check.
king is completely safe. He can just advance up the board, and Hou Yifan got no time on the clock, and she just has to. Then she can now slide over to h7, and Divya wins. Oh my goodness me. I mean, there was some knackeries there from Hou Yifan. I think she didn't predict in that scramble, she didn't predict Divya's correct moves because it's all about those mouse speed. And
Yes.
now Divya is in a must-win situation again. She does
Again.
this, the match goes to Armageddon. It's the very first time that we'll be seeing Armageddon in the WSCC.
Well, let's see what Divya can do. She plays fast enough. She has a healthy position. It's all theory. Still, she bounced back. Is she gonna grab on c6 or comes back, of course, to d3? Bishop h4, keeping the tension.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, insane stuff. I agree. And we are all
Knight
just
e5, knight d4. Yeah.
Yeah. And for white, though, I think this is a really good kind of position when you're in a must-win situation. It's open. There's a lot of tactical possibilities to go wrong here. And yeah, well, we will see whether we get our Armageddon, our very first Armageddon of the WSCC. Rook can go to e1. There's rook to d1. You can also slide the other knight from b3 to d4. I mean, so many active moves that are possible. And one thing, though, Divya is behind on the clock. Hou Yifan, 43 seconds versus 22 seconds. And
Knight e4.
wow.
No, but this is going to be a pawn, no? If she would have played queen e2 or queen g3.
Well, you got queen b6, so you can go on the counter, and she holds firm. But Divya just got 18 seconds, and now everything has been held together. Now the knight is jumping into f4. And the
Because she
evaluation
could play
bar
knight
moving up
f3.
and down. But it's just a question of making those fast moves. Divya with 15 seconds and f3 incoming. So now is the time to change it up. Wow. e3.
Okay, now she's gaining back time. Whoops. Piece. Rook e5. And she didn't take it.
No, she could have taken the queen.
And the piece.
It's just nerves.
Yeah.
And now you can check, and now you get away with it.
Queen c6, knight d1. Oh.
Oh. And it's a match that's kept us entertained, but here Hou Yifan, she knows that she has it, and now the queen swoops in and there's going to be a trade, and you can just see the heartbreak, the emotion on Divya's face. She was so close to getting that Armageddon, almost so close to winning. Anything could have happened, but in the end, the A pawn is going to be winning this one.
Bishop e4, look at that.
Oh. And suddenly, it's an Armageddon. Hou Yifan just relaxed. She put her rook on a place where it could be won, and oh my goodness, just as I was calling it, just as I was saying that this match was over for Divya, look at that. Manna falls from heaven and she comes there with a big smile. Someone was smiling down on her, Judith. Wow.
Well, she's not proud of herself. In a way, she is that she saved it with miracles. Somehow she pulled in her luck. But the thing is that, of course, she is fighting. She played and she noticed this, that there is one trick in this whole thing. If Black wants to stop the pawn on c4. Unbelievable. So she's ready to catch the opportunity. That's very clear.
And she's fast,
so we are going
right?
to see... Sorry?
And she's fast, that was going to say. She's super fast. She spots the opportunities when they're presented. She was not shocked at all. And we are going to see, as you mentioned there, Judith, Armageddon. So let's bring up the Armageddon rules. And here you can see the players bid for the time for playing with the black pieces. And the bid winner will be playing with that particular time bid. And the opponent starts with 5 minutes. So Judith, I'm going to again put you on the spot. What would be an ideal bid time for you, to play with the black pieces? Or do you want the black pieces?
Well, this is always a debate, I think. Some people, I don't know. When I was playing all these Armageddons, it was a bit different. It was something new, but these players are kind of used to this, I think. Kind of, because there are a lot of playoffs, and sometimes they get there and they discuss a lot. I would be happy to play with black if I have even 3.5 minutes. But 4 is okay.
3.5 minutes.
4
But you
minutes
get no
okay.
increment.
I understand. 4.
Yeah, okay. No increment. And remember, black gets the draw odds. But just judging from the flow of the match, we've seen the player with the white pieces often just come out swinging. So do you think that it's worth having black pieces and that draw odds? All the mind
That's
games.
another story. But if you have a belief in yourself and self-confidence, then I think both of them speed it up quite a bit. But I was never paying attention that much. I was not suffering that much from time. And anyway, I think you have to be very fast. And they are in the mode already they're playing for like 20 minutes already in the bullet. So they're going to be playing bullet. They will not be able to slow down.
Well, they would need to play fast because here in Armageddon, there is no increment black.
But it's not a bullet.
The draw odds.
But if you make a bullet, you play your bullet speed, it means that you blunder a piece and you're gone.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. So the players will have to reset, refocus. And for Hou Yifan, that is going to be especially challenging because she was so close, right? She was one rook move away from going into the semifinals. And now she finds herself in an Armageddon. For Divya, it feels like momentum is in her side. The sail is in her, and the wind is in her sails, and we'll see what happens. We'll see what the players are bidding. And okay, I'm just getting the bids. Divya bid 348 with the black pieces. Wow. Yeah, we'll find out what Hou Yifan bid. But 348, to me, that's pretty low. There's no increment.
Yes, because
whatsoever.
She's fast. Generally speaking, she's very fast and she can be faster. And she knows it.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, there we're seeing Divya.
I'm pretty sure Hou Yifan was saying more. She really wants to play with black, Divya.
And we will see what Hou Yifan did bid. I also expect the same. That Hou Yifan will be playing with the white pieces, and there you see Hou Yifan really wanted the white pieces. She just bid 5 minutes.
Wow.
And now it is Hou Yifan that needs to win with the white pieces. And Divya, well, she just has to hold tight. What do you think Hou Yifan will be opening with? Will we see her continuing with e4, or is it now time to unleash some kind of
E4.
opening surprise. Mhm.
E4.
E4.
Yeah.
And Divya, what is she going to open with? C6, the French. She's played the French before. She's also played Sicilians.
Good question. I think it goes with Sicilian. I mean, there was not too many things wrong. I mean, she had her chances.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And there is always an opportunity. I mean, there is always a chance. And if she has the self-confidence that whatever happens, I will get an opportunity. I will have my chances. I just have to be patient and focused and grab that opportunity what is given. I think she can make it. But of course, 348 means a lot of self-confidence, and also that she desperately wants to go for the black pieces choice. That there is no way that Hou Yifan can go under that.
No. And I was just thinking about the potential openings. That well, there we're seeing d4 from Hou Yifan.
Okay.
She's going back for the Jobava London, because you have two strategies. You can go all out for the win, you know, play very aggressively, or you can play like a very tight game, keep the pawn structure locked, keep as much tension as possible, and you win on time. You just flag them down. And yeah, this is again very tense game. A lot of possibility for Hou Yifan. She maintains that bishop there on f4, says, hey, if you're going to make the trade, improve my knight.
Okay. She keeps her time advantage. Positionally more pleasant for white for sure.
It's looking nice.
What about
It's
queen e3
looking
and queen d4? Always a question,
very
what
tempting.
piece to put on d4, yeah? The knight or the queen, or... Yeah, it seems like she wants the knight. But knight g4, queen f4.
Yeah. Look, I was thinking queen d2 was the way forward, you know, because black couldn't play d4 on account of tactics against h7. But knight goes to d4, and now the queen is going to come over to g5. And sure enough, it appears. And Hou Yifan has a very, very pleasant position. But again, keep an eye on the clocks, because Divya is playing with that time deficit, but she does have that draw odds. And remember, there is no increment whatsoever. It's Armageddon.
But the queen on h4, I don't think it stands so well. I mean, is it really white is so happy to play f3, queen f2 back? It's like the queen dance.
No,
right?
it's
Queen
not
g5.
great news. But on the other hand, Divya is
it's more pleasant.
using up time.
It's more pleasant for white. Yeah, I understand. King f8, rook e8, h5 at some point.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see a big deal here. How does white going to be winning? King e7, king d6.
It's the clock. The clock is going to be the big factor on this, because
but you
so
see
many
that they are
moves that Hou
blitzing.
Yifan can play. Yeah,
I like
but
g4.
each move that Divya
like
is gonna take some time. And then you can go rook h1. You can flip over to rook d1. Knight to f4 is now on the air, and I like what Hou Yifan is doing. Okay, knight goes back to e2.
Absolutely,
to
knight
G3,
d4, knight d3. Oh, knight e5.
Okay, now
blunders 2 one move.
Yeah.
Oh, no, but she can go knight g4, knight g4.
No, because the h6 pawn falls as well.
This was a big blunder.
Everything is collapsing. Yeah.
Big blunder.
And it was because Divya was forced to just play as quickly as possible, because she couldn't afford to drag out the game. So she was careless.
This is what I meant. This is what I meant, that when you play bullet, it's extremely difficult to go back to even 5 minutes or 4 minute game, I think. They both played incredibly fast.
They did. And Divya, well, she just has to draw, but this is certainly an uphill battle. And Hou Yifan, 2 pawns up. She just has to keep control. And Divya's doing all the right things, right? She's
Sorry,
trying
actually
to
it's 3 pawns up.
mobilize her look. Now it's 3 pawns, yeah, because she went a3. And I thought that the rook would take on a3, but nope. Didn't get the time. Yeah, and Hou Yifan just keeping the time difference as well. And the thing is, the pawn is weak on g5. The white king keeps... Oh, Divya's been tricky. Knight to c4 check, and be careful.
Absolutely. She's kicking.
Mm-hmm. And
Knight e5.
Hou Yifan, yeah, she wants to set up rook to e1 just to keep maximum control, so she can go knight to b4 and then just pounce on the weak pawns. But she can throw in a check.
Rook a8, rook
Divya.
e1. Oh, she goes here. Well, takes rook e5, grabbing the pawn on g5.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that one should be very straightforward rook and pawn ending, especially when white will be several pawns up over on the right side of the board. She throws in a check and takes on b7. Yeah. And Hou Yifan well on her way to winning this.
To win.
Yeah, but it's just a case of just marching over the king. But how are you going to mobilize the rook without allowing checks? You probably have to go c4.
Well, this is a question. You have to come back with the king, and you go rook b8.
Mm-hmm. You can go rook b6 as well.
Very passive. Well, it's hard to ruin it with white, right? So even if you go rook c2, you can always come out.
Yeah.
Maybe she
You also can inch forward with d3. And now it's time.
Time
she
is
can mobilize the rook.
The king. One extra minute for Hou Yifan.
Yeah.
The 2 extra pawn is more painful, I understand. But
yeah. And well, she has a choice, right? She can go rook to e8 and just pick up on. But somehow there's some hesitation there from Hou Yifan. Now she goes c4. But this allows counterplay with d4.
Well, d4, yeah, she takes and rook a2, king f1. Now she goes all the way to g3.
Yeah.
Still, she has to prove it. She has to prove it.
And now, how is she going to break through? Well, she can go g3 and f4. So
after g3, rook f2. That's a draw, I think. No, rook f5 is not a draw, but rook b3 would be a draw.
Now she gets f4. And now this is exactly.
But this is also not always so simple. If you can go cut the king and go behind the pawns. But of course, she's not allowing that. You can always go wrong.
The problem is,
but king h4. Yeah.
And this is the issue. The king will just lead from the front. Now the king will go to g5, and Divya is playing very very fast, but it's not enough. Okay, some now you can go rook g7. Little trick. You couldn't take the rook because of stalemate. And now the rook just swings over. Now you go, and now you can just go rook c8, rook b1, rook c1. No, this is it. And Hou Yifan, she promotes, and this is the game that gets her a spot in the semifinals. Hou Yifan wins in Armageddon. She wins on demand, and she will be the one facing Katerina Lagno in the semis. But what a fight! I mean, it was unbelievable, filled with adventure, thrills, spills, you name it. This match had it. Judith, wow, after some incredible chess, some incredible emotions. I mean, how are you feeling about all of this?
Well, it was a lot of excitement, a lot of nerves. Of course, it was clearly, it was head to head, basically the whole match, right? Because we've seen mistakes by both sides, dramatic mistakes, blunders at the same time, nice solutions, nice moves. I mean, Hou Yifan really bounced back after the first portion of the 5+1 portion. There it was very clear that Divya was dominating. It was very important for Hou Yifan to win the last game there. I felt that was crucial to bounce back in the match for her. And then later on, it seemed like the bullet portion, it worked better for Divya, but not good enough. Probably she thought she was so close to win. Just two games before, she had the opportunity. She ruined it to draw, and then in the last game she lost. So everything went in a very nerve-wracking way for everyone, for all the fans they have. They were biting their nails, and but it was a really fun and entertaining match. I believe we can point out quite a few moments which nice to remember.
Yeah, we started the competition with 16 participants. Now there are just 5 remaining. As we see Hou Yifan just secure her spot against Katerina Lagno in the semis. There is still one spot to play for. That is between Polina Shuvalova against Alice Lee. Now, that one is going to be an incredible match. I mean, we've been assured so many good matches. That's coming up on Monday, and we'll be back and, of course, covering every single move of that. And wow, Judith, you called it. You said that this match was nail-biting, and it really was. It had absolutely everything. It was full of emotion. It was full of drama. It was full of spectacular moves. And of course, it had some hair-raising moments. Thank you very much for sharing with us your stories, your wisdom, and just guiding us through your chess with your chess knowledge every single step of the way. It was so much fun, and I couldn't have asked for a better partner. And I'd like to thank everyone at home for joining in and watching the stream and cheering on for your players. It really has meant a lot to us. And we are gonna go. We're gonna say goodbye. And when we return, we're gonna return on Monday. We're gonna be looking forward to that last quarterfinal match remaining. So see you then.
Bye.